All of them as well. What a move for the 48. Oh, look at this. And onto the straight they come.
Brilliant move there from number 40 to make it through. That left-hander sliding up the inside, going up now over Hawthorne Hill, down Pilgrim's Drop, and it's brilliant stuff here at Brands Hatch.
Need expert support for your sim racing setup? SimRig Support has you covered. With over 2,000 hours of experience, our team excels in diagnosing and resolving issues swiftly. Submit a ticket for remote help, send us your hardware with a prepaid label, or book an on-site visit. We handle all major brands from wheel to PC problems. Trust SimRig Support to keep you racing.
The long-awaited return of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship is just around the corner. Hello everyone and welcome back to racing action as we head to West Kingsdown in Kent, and what you can already tell is some speculative weather. It's myself, Lewis McGlade, it is Cameron Roger alongside me. We are back, we've got the Formula Fords out on the circuit. It has been a long time coming, Cam. It is so good to be back. British Formula 4 Esports looks absolutely fantastic with a grid chock full of sim racing's best talents. We get to start it all here as we did last season. The Formula Fords were great. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, certainly is an amazing championship. So many people were looking forward to this. Of course, it's been sort of 10 months or so since we went racing last time in this series, and I can't wait to see what we're going to do. Of course, the tracks that we have on the calendar, mostly British tracks, they're always tight and tricky to find good overtake opportunities, so you have to send it, and therefore there's a lot of action. This was a major highlight from last year, wasn't it? Obviously that battle with Henry Moore, Danimore, both of those have moved up to British Formula 4 Esports after finishing first and second in the championship. Henry Moore was absolutely incredible in the Formula 4 Championship. I can't wait to see how he does in the Formula 4s after moving over to Guild Racing. But this is where a lot of these drivers basically can start their sim racing, can move their way forward, can join a bigger team, as we have seen with those top grouping from the last season. This is how it's going to work, slightly different to last year. If you joined us, obviously basically 12 months ago, we will roll through the entirety of the Formula 4, so the FF 1600s. We'll roll through the entirety of this. We'll start with qualifying. We'll roll into the first race. We'll have a breather between race 1 and race 2, where we'll get the reverse grid out for you, and then we'll do race 2, and then we will move over into British Formula 4 Esports. So we're not jumping back and forth. If you're only here for British Formula 4 Esports, you can come back in a little bit, but I would honestly encourage you to remain, because this is going to be a lot of fun, isn't it, Cam? It's the race format, it's small, it's tight, it's twisty, it is aggressive as well. Oh, absolutely. This car is quite something as well to race. It's obviously not got any wings on it. It's a little bit different sort of style of racing. You have to be very smooth as well to not sort of get the car moving around underneath you, because you have to get that momentum onto the straights. It hasn't got much power, so you've got to get a nice exit out there. And of course, with the tracks on the calendar as we see here, it's going to be quite tight and twisty for most of them, but then we do go to some more bigger Grand Prix tracks as well. Yeah, as is traditional and feels right, we start at Brands Indy, we end at Brands GP. That is right. Over 8 rounds, that feels correct. However, courtesy of how things were for real British Formula 4, we do have an international round. It'll be next week, where we go to Circuit Zandvoort over in the Netherlands before returning to the UK in the Snetterton 300 layout. Go back to Alton Park International, which we love a little bit of Alton Park. It's fantastic. Silverstone Grand Prix, of course, running the full layout there, which is very interesting in the Formula Fords, that's for sure. Of course, heading north of the border to Knock Hill, then to Donington Park and to Brands Hatch. If you're wondering as to which circuit is missing from last year, it's Donington Indy. We don't go to the Indy layout of Donington. We're only going to the Grand Prix, only taking one visit to the circuit that's on the tip of everyone's tongue when it says which county it's in. It is in Leicestershire, but if you want to say it's in Derbyshire, you're wrong. We'll wait until we get there a bit later in the season to have that discussion, I'm sure. But as you say, it's great to have Zandvoort on the calendar, of course. The real championship going there this year, and of course having a nice version of that in iRacing. Great to have that aboard. That's going to be a tricky one as well for the drivers, I'm sure. But what I quite liked, actually, as with the calendar, is we have 8 races, but only in 10 weeks. There's just 2 off weeks in that. So it's very intense. You only have 1 week to practice, basically, for each race. Yeah, Cam's had to give up his kickboxing to come along and take part, obviously, here as a commentator. There's Crofton Woodhatch. Let's talk through some of the drivers. So we do have a few out there that are returners from last year. Connor Skidau being one of those. Brandon Loudon being another. Jack Badger was I think he's the highest placed returning driver from last year. There's a lot of drivers to keep an eye on. Mark Fletcher's definitely one to keep an eye on. Ryan Elliott, also quality talent, more so in touring cars on over in elsewhere in sim racing. He's a quality driver over in that area. Very interested to see how that's going to translate to this style of racing. Absolutely, but we'll be very familiar with these tracks. That is for sure, with all the British tracks coming along. So everyone knows Brands India as well. It's basically 4 corners, but they are very tricky corners. And with it being so short, that also makes it even more important, because if you lose 1,000th of a second, that is like half a tenth at another track. So you're going to expect probably some quite close times in this qualifying session, and the drivers will be going to the absolute limit. But as you say, Lewis, we have had some wet weather, but it looks like we're getting a bit of a drier line forming as look at the rear end slide.
Yeah, obviously coming through the final corner then. Let's ride on board with Brandon Loudon himself. See how he can make up for last season. Had a few struggles last season, looking to start out in a solid way. Was about half a second to 3/10 off, by the way, in practice, but could find some of that time. Through Paddock Hill, dropping down the hill, back up towards Druids, onto the brakes, not taking the diagonal braking line as we would typically see in the dry. I think they kind of want to have a nice opened exit as we head down the hill into Graham Hill Bend, using as much of the racetrack over on the right-hand side. You've got to be very careful with the right-hand side and the turn in there. It can really snap on the rear of the car. And of course, even there going on the exit of the corner, you can exceed track limits up to the final corner at Clearways as we get onto the brakes, turn it in, rear trying to let go. On board with Brandon Loudon there, who's clearly driving in a chair which is some form of rotation. I can tell that is very difficult to drive in. Sondre Mullet will stop the time sessions. Let's see what it's going to be from Brandon Loudon. I expect somewhere in the 48s, a low 48 will be the required time for pole position. That was what top practice was, the 48.250. These laps will get quicker and quicker. They get just 3 over the run of this qualifying session.
And if it's drying up, maybe going out slightly later might help. Let's see as more times come in. We got Sam Sanders going up towards the top then. Woodhatch we've just seen on board, a quarter of a second behind in that 3rd place, but so close between everyone. 12 drivers, half a second so far. And you can see how the drivers just have to be so precise on their steering inputs, just being very cautious indeed to not be oversliding that rear end. And nice to see the sort of different rigs that the drivers are using as well from their webcam footage. So that's really great to see. Time's flying in though. Harvey Jones back up to 2nd.
And Brandon Loudon's return to pit lane, I can actually tell you that'll be a bad omen for his qualifying, because he won't be able to build up the tyre temperature that he'll require. Hans Jakob Siversten Molat will go to the top of the time sessions then. Was the driver who top practiced with a 48.250. Now starts their 3rd and final lap of the session. If you were wondering as well, they get the 3 laps. They are also alone on the track. So they have clear track, clear road ahead, no dramas in qualifying. Just keep your eyes clear as we see it on board with Ben Smith. One of the major things that I thought from Formula Ford's last season is there's a large differing in age. I'm not going to judge anyone's age in this, but there is a large difference in age from the entire field.
Just shows you anyone can be fast, to be honest. As we've seen Ben Smith coming through the very tricky final corner here. You want to get on the power as early as you can, but it keeps on turning, and then everyone knows the front straight here isn't actually very straight. We have tied at the front. Wow. Joya to the 1,000th of a second, doing the same time as Shintani as they go towards the front. Ben Smith, can he get himself up there? P16 at this moment, up into P6.
And I will say for Hans Jakob Sivertsen Molat, who I think will probably shortened to Hans Molat. I will say, last lap, despite being the fastest driver in practice and looking pretty quick, as Shintani will come across the line, probably still just doing laps in the session rather than actually setting lap times, as Croft and Woodhatch at the top of the order. Molat's final lap time in that did not count. There was an exceeding of track limits. That lap did not count to the timesheets. I think there's much more pace in that 333 car.
Yeah, we still have obviously a couple of laps coming in for the 3 for the drivers, and we have a quarter of a second for the top 13 drivers. So close. The back end of that 13 is Jack Badger, of course, as you mentioned, Lewis, the driver returning from last season. But look at all of the new names coming and being very fast indeed in this championship. Here's Ian Joyner as he tries to improve that 600th of a second he needs for pole.
Yeah, I will say, last season, the pole time, I haven't got it written down because obviously, why would I? Henry Moore was on pole position though, and it was by 400 of a second over Jason Cooper. I think it was a 10th of a second separated the top 3 positions. So at least when it comes to that, we're at least a position tighter in that sense, because we've got 4 drivers within a 10th of a second. As Molat will come through the final corner, he's not happy. I think it's because absolutely has the pace in the car to grab this pole position, but obviously this lap doesn't count. They only get 3. And this is the 4th lap. They're allowed to keep driving around, to clarify, by the way. They can keep driving on the circuit, but the session will end once everyone's completed their allotted 3 lap times. But these lap times just don't count. This is just cruising.
nothing beats a bit of extra practice as well. I'm sure they're all warmed up, but when you have these slightly changeable conditions, you can't replicate that. So having the exact feel of the car before we go into race 1 is going to be very important. Of course, for race 2, we will have a reverse grid as well. So it is a situation where you do want to try and finish as high as you can in this first race. It's very important. We've got Mikey Pollard there coming into the pit lane as the session draws to an end, and I just can't get over how close these lap times always are at Brands Indy. Expect that to continue in the race as well, and if you do see sort of a breakaway of drivers, it'll be very hard to overcome that.
Yeah, indeed. I think there is a couple of drivers out there that are still actually setting lap times. So once they have completed that in the session, I don't think it'll automatically move over. We will have a little look around. We'll take a look, though, on board, I think, the pole lap from Crofton Woodhatch, which I don't think we'll see any beating in this camp. Talk us through this one.
Absolutely. Coming into the first corner, Paddock Hill Bend, you can see you're barely turning right on that entry, really trying to pitch the rear end of the car. Then you come back up the hill in towards Druids. Tricky braking zone, and it's always a bit of a later apex than you might expect here. Get on the power early as you come down the hill. This is an important corner because it goes out onto what is effectively the back straight, and you can use all of the curb on the outside there. Then coming up towards this very tricky chicane, got to just balance the pedals as much as you can, try and take as much speed, but then you've got to just about straighten the car. But you see locking on the rears coming through the final corner out of clearways. You've got to be always turning right, and that is a very hectic lap here at Brands Indy.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, especially in these conditions, as much as it's pretty dry on the racing line. I will say, weather-wise, at least from what I'm seeing here, there is no expected rain to hit the circuit, at least through any of this qualifying session and through the race coming up. So I believe we'll all be clear on that one. Mark Fletcher crosses the line to go to second. So as much as we were talking about that being the pole time, it gets closer towards the top. The 111 of Mark Fletcher, I think, finishes out that qualifying session. I don't think anyone else is there to set lap times, and we'll go into second place, incredibly close at the front. If you have just joined and you are wondering, these aren't British Formula 4 cars, are they? No, they're not. That will be up a little bit later on this evening. Of course, if you have just joined us this evening, we are starting with the Formula Fords. We'll go through qualifying, we'll go through race 1 and race 2 of the Formula Fords straight away, and then the big show begins. Then we start talking about the British Formula 4 Esports Championship and its return. Cannot wait for that. That will be coming up at about 8:30 for us here in the UK. So in about an hour and 10 minutes, we'll be beginning things. We'll be getting ready for that the first qualifying session season, for the first race of the season as well. And I'll pick Cam's predictions as well. We'll see what he thinks is going to come out on top, because it's a quality order in British Formula 4 a bit later on. We'll get to start with the Formula 4, which is always a bit of a fun way to do it.
Yeah, we certainly enjoyed this championship last season. Henry Moore, I guess you could say he did dominate in terms of the results, and there were a couple of races where he pulled away, but the general championship battle was just absolutely outstanding, and you really had the likes of Dan Moore coming in behind, really trying to challenge him. They finished first and second, or second and first multiple times, and they really put on a good show. We have a lot of new names though this year, so it's opened the door for someone to step up and potentially take that championship. And of course, the prize for the top two is to get into the big British Formula 4 Esports Championship next year as well. So that's pretty good prize, considering the fact of how good that field is. And I will say, notably, there are a few eyes on this championship when it comes to teams and stuff, just because it is the support series to British Formula 4 Esports. It's why doing well in this championship can actually help your sim racing career. As you said, not only have Henry Moore and Dana Moore moved on into British Formula 4 Esports, which is a great prize for them. It was going to be great to see them on the grid. Cannot wait to see how they get along. But both of them have joined big teams as well. It's not as if they've just been kind of sitting back. And I think things like doing this championship does actually make a difference. They've both joined Guild Esports and the Apex Racing Academy alike. Let's talk you through, though, the starting grid for the first race of the season. Crofton Woodhatch will start from pole position with Mark Fletcher 302nd behind
on the front row of the grid. Shoma Shintani will start from 3rd position with Ian Joyner in 4th, and then we'll have Hans Mollett starting from 5th within a 10th of a second, but only good enough for 5th. Very disappointed with that result from him. Sam Sanders, though, will start from 6th position. Lewis Werrell will start from 7th with Ben Smith, Mikey Pollard and Ryan Elliott inside the top 10 within a quarter of a second. Same as with Harvey Jones and Mark Warner still within that quarter of a second. Things are definitely tight around here. Then we've got Sondre Mollett, the first of the returning drivers in Jack Badger. Brandon Loudon will start from 15th position, another returning driver from 2023. Jonathan Smith will start from 16th position, and Conor Skudau will start from the final row of the grid. Cameron Roger, who wins this race?
Joyner from 4th place with a big crash for the top 3.
Hans Mollett, mate. Speed in practice looked absolutely rapid. They've worked their way onto the grid, though. Do you think we're going to get a crash at turn 1? Is that a Cameron Roger prediction?
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. First one of the season.
Nah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, they'll all get themselves into the grid. Once they're in their grid spots nicely, then the starting procedure will fully begin. Here we go then. First race of the Formula Fords of 2024. The support series and the pathway to the British Formula 4 Esports Championship is underway for the first time this season. And it's a good start from Crofton Woodhatch from pole position. Mark Fletcher will have to filter in behind, but is looking to try and get around the outside. Still slippery on the outside, though, as they head down into Paddock Hill. But it's nice and tidy between the front 5. Big look to the inside coming in for the race lead as Mark Fletcher is sending one down the inside. Crofton Woodhatch going wide at Druids. Big slide as well for 3rd position, and Shoma Shintani, who's opened up the door potentially for Ian Joyner to work their way through. Side by side for the race lead. Crofton Woodhatch hangs on.
And I think Joyner might just have that. We'll have to see as we come down the back straight. Still spray flying in there, almost 3 wide as we come up towards 30. Side by side for the lead. We continue on as Mark Fletcher takes the lead. The number 2 goes down into position 2. He's lost his pole position. We're still side by side in the background as well as Joyner tries to find his way past.
Yeah, Shintani had a big moment on the outside going through Clearway. So Ian Joyner's worked his way through, had a good move to take over 3rd position. But it's all looking, they're all looking all over the place in the background as they try and work their way side by side for the race lead once more. Big move to the outside coming in from Hans Jakob Silverstone Mollett as he tries to send it in and takes over 3rd position. So Mollett is flying right now, but it's already a second up to the top 2 of Mark Fletcher and Crofton Woodhatch. The pair of them can't really fight now, because if they do, they're going to bleed all this time they've gained already. Out wide, big move from Shoma Shintani to try and get over 4th position, but still cannot work their way through. They're side by side to Graham Hill.
Yeah, Lewis Werrell around the outside might be able to make this stick. He'll have the inside line to the exit of the chicane. Shintani is going to have to back out of that one. Loses 2 places over the last couple of corners, and then you have to obviously get settled down. Don't make that an open door. Open the floodgates for everyone in behind. Look at the train of cars. It's going to be hectic for these drivers as we finish the first couple of laps. The top 2 have broken away.
Yeah, you can see the that white, black and blue, by the way, of Harvey Jones, the Alpha Esports driver, who we know like Alpha Esports do go strong in this championship, working their way up in the background, was trying to make it 3-1 a couple of times. Another switch for the race lead. Crofton Woodhatch is back to the front. I expect this chopping and changing will happen quite a lot over the 15-minute race, as there is a crash, by the way, in the background. I've just seen that one, and it was Harvey Jones, who I was just talking about, involved in an incident with Mikey Pollard.
Certainly was. I would assume that's a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact going side by side up in towards Druids. Is easily done in these. I mean, of course, they're open wheel cars, but they are very much open wheel. There's no bodywork around them. There's no wings to cover them at all. If you make contact, then the cars are spinning around. It's something that we saw quite a few times last season as well, as Fletcher is not giving up on this race lead. As let's see a replay of this. Up the inside is looking good for now. Maybe just drifting the tiniest bit wide, and as you see, wheels get collided.
Yeah, it's very easily done there, but unfortunately just going out, like I say, a little bit wide. This has just happened, though, with Warner on the inside of Jack Badger and just losing it on the inside of Clearways, and Jack Badger goes round. Not a good lap for the Alpha Esports drivers of Badger there, along with Harvey Jones. Both of them having issues and a calamitous lap, unfortunately. This is the battle, though, for 4th position. So Ian Joyner, Lewis Werrell, Shoma Shintani and Sam Sanders as well. As Shoma Shintani probably be a little bit disappointed with how this race has begun, but still with 12 minutes left to go in this one, they are long races.
Oh, definitely can get back. But what is also coming back is that gap towards the front. Mollett has closed down a couple of tenths on the previous lap. 4 tenths to Fletcher, in fact, on that last one. We'll see what it is this time around, but look how close they get for Shintani in towards turn 1. Bit of a look up the inside, actually, from Lewis Werrell. What a move that is. Joyner's going to have to hold it around the outside, but Werrell diving up into the inside of Druids now. Might have Shintani following him through. The pair going there. Bit of contact is made that opens the door for the Japanese driver. Can he make his way down the hill?
Yeah, Shintani then to the outside of Ian Joyner, so we'll have to actually relinquish that overtaking attempt to stay in 6th position. If you're looking at this, by the way, and thinking, my God, this is a lot of fun. This looks incredible. Well, of course, you can maybe look at trying to join the Formula Ford Championship here, of course, but also the Formula Ford Festival will be up as a special event on iRacing not too long, which obviously races these cars around here. Very exciting last year. Obviously, we had big drivers like Gordy Much taking on the likes of Henry Moore and such, and it was very, very exciting. Last year, I think, was it, you were on the comments booth, weren't you, with me with that one? We had a lot of fun.
Yes, it's a crazy event, and yeah, hopefully it's a lot of fun once more. And this is the type of stuff that you're going to be seeing. Almost 3 cars sliding up the inside of each other, and at the front, Moller, he's got 2nd place already. So we've got 7 cars battling towards the front here as Woodhatch loses another position down to 3rd from your pole driver.
Yeah, and this is how quickly it's going to change. Crofton Woodhatch was leading at the line. That was less than 20 seconds ago. Now finds himself in 3rd place as Mark Fletcher has found his way through. Jonathan Smith has had a bit of a moment, has dropped back to 15th position. So not everyone's coming through this race completely unscathed. 10 minutes left to go in this race as we ride on board with Crofton Woodhatch. The most important bit, I have to say, as a driver, surely in this, Cam, is remain calm. Yes, you're in a tense 3-way tussle at West Kingsdown, and it is wet offline, but remain calm, keep positive, and keep your mind in the race, surely.
Oh, absolutely. You can't be a hothead in this this style of racing. It's too tense. It's too fast-paced. And if you start making any sort of little mistake or rash move, then we see the crashes like we've already seen before. That's a decent run, though, as come up towards 30s. He's going to have to lift off. Not enough to go side by side, but start pushing the pressure on Mollett to try and make a move on Fletcher. Otherwise, he's just going to be re-overtaken. 3 completely different lines being used by the drivers there as they work their way out onto the front straight once more. And if they keep on battling, the 4 cars in behind might make this a 7-car battle for the lead.
Yeah, we've seen those fights quite a lot back in 2023 where you have the breakaway at the front, but the more you battle, the more it drags that train in from behind. But it depends on how much that train behind fights. Let's look at how close they are as we look backwards. Here comes a look to the inside as Hans Mollat's going to send it down into the final, into the 2nd corner. Into Druids, getting way too far ahead of myself. As Mark Fletcher goes out a little bit wide. Mollat looking for the inside move. 1-1 versus 3-3, and it will go advantage 1-1. But because the group behind weren't fighting coming down into Druids, it means they have closed up a 10th or 2. That doesn't sound like much, but as soon as you get it below a second, that's where the slipstream really starts to assist.
Yeah, and on the last lap, Joyner was almost half a second faster than Mollett as well. So big pace coming from the 4 cars in behind. They've got half the race left to finally catch up. Mollett, a half defensive line there, so he's definitely looking in his mirrors whilst also trying to make the move up towards the front. Fletcher is slightly slow coming off turn 1 there, so big defensive move to the inside. Mollett is going to have to go all the way around the outside if he wants to make that work. Sometimes this opens a door, actually, for the 3rd car to try and come through. A bit of a squeeze out there, so Woodhatch will get the run. As come down towards Graham Hill, Ben's going to have to hold it on the outside line. Surely he's going to want to have to back out. Oh, no, they made contact! Wheel-to-wheel contact, push each other off. Woodhatch rejoins, but where's Mollett gone?
Mollett's gone straight over the race, basically, for those behind, and Sam Sanders has been caught up in it. You can see another car of Ian Joyner has also been caught, but I think he had absolutely no control there. We'll have to take a look on the replay, but you can see the front left suspension is toast on the 333. So things have become very dramatic, and Mark Fletcher now has a 2-second lead, crazily enough.
Oh, that is a bit of luck for Mark Fletcher there. But to be fair, he got himself in that position and was allowing the 2 in behind to fight. And what an opportunity this is. 2 seconds, with still 7 minutes to go. He should be able to hold on to that one if he puts in some good laps. And now this has turned, of course, the battle for what was obviously the sort of 4th place onwards, and is now for the podium as we see 3 wide. This is, oh yeah, coming down in towards the corner. That's a tricky one to call from that angle.
That's not a nice.
Oh, Joyner got hit as well.
Yeah, I think it was out of control a little bit, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The car's turning, it's heading back on. I don't even think if you're holding the brakes, I don't think much is changing that, I think, but that's for race control to judge. I don't know, it wasn't a great rejoin, but maybe it was a little bit more out of control. I think there's some damage. I was going to say damage on Connor Skudal's car, but actually done a really good job to work his way up from the rear of the field. That instant will be viewed, I'm sure, by race control. Here comes a look to the outside as Mikey Pollard is trying to get past Connor Skudal for 7th position. Of course, Brandon Loudon and Sondre Mollett still involved in this fight. Here comes the big outside look for the 73 of Mikey Pollard, that yellow car, but cannot get past the 7th place.
Yes, certainly can't, but this is a difficult situation when you have these battle packs. You're looking forward and backwards for the moves. This is a little bit of a run there for Loudon, but he just backs out of that one coming towards 30s. And of course, you can't forget about Sondra Mollett in the background as well, diving up the inside in towards the final corner. Has that position done as Loudon goes way wide. They lose a car length or two up towards the front, and that is also this slipstream coming for the driver on the right-hand side of Mollett. And Loudon now is going to potentially have to back out this one outside of Paddock Bend, not always where you want to be, and he certainly does.
Yeah, indeed, just backs out, which is fair enough. Could get the up and under here, coming down towards Druids. Defensive line once again comes in from Connor Skudau as once more there's going to be a look to the outside, bit deep on the brakes goes Sondre Muller, nearly collect Mikey Pollard as Jonathan Smith and Mark Warner switch positions for 12th. We're going to see a lot of these changes just happen throughout the race. I distinctly remember from the for the first race of last year in a battle between Henry Moore and I think it was Ciro Zambra in that very first race. The most important bit when you're going toe to toe, especially if it's a one-on-one fight, the most important bit is timing. It's when you go for the move, not leaving it too late, but not doing it too early either.
Yeah, that's where the racecraft comes in for these drivers, especially important in cars like this where you do get a few opportunities, but you have to wait till the best one. And let's see how this one works out for Woodhatch. He's obviously got to regroup after that contact, and he's being put under quite a bit of pressure here from where in the background, going really wide there, coming out on towards this back straight. He's going to have to slow down as well. We've had a collision here, so Mollett, he was in that fight up towards the back end of the top 10, and he's now down to P14.
Yeah, it was with Brandon Loudon, was with Mikey Pollard, was with Connor Skudau. Harvey Jones has also joined that fight. So there was a little bit of a fight going on back there, and I could assume there was some form of car-to-car contact there at Druids as we keep our eye, though, on the battle for second position. The 111 of Mark Fletcher seems to have a decent enough lead. This is what happened to Mollett. Bit of a lock-up on the brakes, bit of a look to the inside, just in too deep on the brakes. There was a look from Mikey Pollard, but couldn't quite do that as we've got side-by-side for second spot. Lewis Werrell to the inside of Crofton Woodhatch, and Crofton Woodhatch will hang on for now.
Certainly does, but this battling is going to bring Shintani back into it, but that's a terrible run for the second lap in a row, and up in towards 30s we're going to see where he'll get that move in towards second place. So Woodhatch thought he had it done into Graham Mill Bend, and then just a few hundred meters later he's lost the position. We have just under 4 minutes to go now in this race. Fletcher, he's comfortable up towards the front, but the final podium places are still up for grabs.
Yeah, indeed, side by side, there we go once again. Crofton Woodhatch to the outside, maybe testing to see what a drag race will do on the very last lap as they begin their descent down the hill. It's still Lewis Werrell hanging on from Crofton Woodhatch. Shomi Shintani also has really joined this fight. Shintani, we know, has some good speed. We saw it a little bit in qualifying. We saw it in the early stages of this race. Shintani is looking now at the back of a potential podium as we ride on board. You can see a bit of a smile on the face of Shoma as well.
Yeah, he's enjoying this race, of course, in the podium, in the fight for the podium places, as we come through in towards less than 3 minutes to go in this opening race of the season. What a battle we're having here. It's a bit of a dogfight. They've swapped places multiple times, and Woodhatch is trying to get as close as he can in that slipstream, trying to find a way past, this time to the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. What he's going to do is try and slow Werrell down for the run up towards Druids. I'd be surprised if he overtakes there. No, he's trying to get the switch back, but he's a little bit far away.
I will say, based on that, you cannot leave it to a drag race to the line. The lead car will have the lead as they hit the stripe. Yes, it's quite late. It's just before the exit of pit lane. Here is where the line is. It is actually the start-finish line right here. There is no earlier timing beam where timing is. Connor Skudau's dropping down the order. What has happened between him and Mikey Pollard?
Yeah, this is obviously changing the order at the back end of the top 10, so let's see how it's worked out. So Pollard is in P9, he's got Skudau on that white machine just in behind him. Of course, we have to look out for Smith, who's coming hot, but remember, it is a reverse grid of a random place between P5 and P10, so this could be the difference between getting in that reverse or not, which of course helped your race too quite a bit. Skudau goes wide. Let's see the replay though.
Yeah, so, just a little bit of contact from behind. That was just a little bit awkward, to be honest. I think it was Brandon Loudon who might have gone over the rear there and just looked a little bit awkward as Jack Badger and Mark Warner switch positions. This is still back to battle for second position on what I believe will be the third to last lap of this race. You get so many laps in around Brands Hatch, courtesy of it being 40 seconds a lap time. I think we will have 2 more after this, courtesy of where Mark Fletcher is and the timing that we've got. I should have enough time to do the next one. Here comes Shomi Shintani straight on the inside of the penultimate corner into the final one of clearways. Brilliant move from Shintani.
Yeah, what a send. He's looking happy with that one as well. So Woodhatch from your pole position may not even get on the podium at the end of this, but let's see how he's going to come back to the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. He's tried this a couple of times to try and slow his rival down, but he's gone wide. He's lost a car length or two there. He's not going to be able to dive up in towards Druid, so he's just going to have one more lap after this one to try and get it back. It's all falling apart a little bit.
Do remember, of course, if you have just joined us, in 1 hour's time, slightly less than, we will have the start of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. So that will be thrilling, exciting, edge of your seat action. I've got absolutely no doubt. We're starting things here with the support series of the Formula Fords. If you're wondering where those Formula 4s are, they are just on the horizon, and we will get that first race to you very, very shortly. Deep on the brakes into the final corner goes Crofton Woodhatch as we begin the final lap of this race. Mark Fletcher continues to lead. Lewis Werrell in second position. Shomi Shintani, Crofton Woodhatch in the battle for the podium, and it does seem as though it's becoming a two-horse race in that battle for third as Crofton Woodhatch gets to the outside of Shintani.
Can he finally find his way through? Yes, this time he has got his nose down the inside. He's going to have to send it on the brakes. Shintani, we know, we've seen how late. That's a bit of a wiggle, bit of a move. Contact is made. We go through Druids on the outside. Shintani's going to hold that to try and have the inside line down in towards Graham Hill Bend. This is an important corner out onto the final straight at the track.
Whoa, there's contact and Shintani's gone round. He was on the inside of Crofton Woodhatch there, going into Graham Hill. Rejoins onto the racing line. Shoma Shintani will drop back to sixth position. The final corner, though, awaits the triple one as the first race of 2024 will go the way of Mark Fletcher. It was an exciting thriller here to open the season at Brands Indy. Fletcher will finish on top by 3.2 seconds, but boy, does that dominant margin not tell the story. Lewis Werrell and Crofton Woodhatch will round out the podium, and Shoma Shintani might have just, so it was just a tiny thing. I thought he might have got Ryan Elliott on the line there. Elliott will have to settle for fifth position, just behind Ben Smith. Shoma Shintani, Harvey Jones will cross the lines. We've got plenty of drag races back here. Connor Scudow and Jack Badger weren't too far separated by just a hundredth or a few hundredths of a second.
Yeah, what a crazy race to start. Pre-race, I did say it was going to be a crash in the top three. It was a little bit later than I expected, but we saw that, of course, with Hans Mollett getting involved with Woodhatch, and then there was more contact on the final lap with Woodhatch again, this time with Shintani. Of course, from the onboard, it's difficult to see the exact trajectories that they were taking, but he was all over the curb, up on the inside, trying to hold on, and definitely a bit of a shame because he was looking really good, and now he's going to be obviously starting a little bit further down than he would have wanted in the next race.
Yeah, I mean, very, very exciting. But to get ready for the next race, Cameron, Roger, it's time for the spinny wheel. Let's find out which position will be starting from the reverse grid pole. Is it going to be 6? Is it going to be 10? Keep going. It's going to be 10. Oh, maximum chaos. That's what we like to hear. Jonathan Smith then will be starting from the reverse grid pole. It had to be the biggest number on day one, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I do like it when it's 5 as well in some ways, but 10 is good. Brings more drivers into it.
Take this 10, turn it around. You've got the grid for the next race. Primo. Mark Fletcher then will win by 3.4 seconds over Lewis Werrell and Crofton Woodhatch. Ben Smith in 4th position with Ryan Elliott in 5th. Drama on the final lap for Shoma Shintani to drop back to 6th position. Definitely gave it a go, but out a little bit wide at Graham Hill. Made contact with Crofton Woodhatch and went round. Harvey Jones in 7th position with Brandon Loudon up to 8th place, which is pretty handy for Brandon Loudon from 15th. Started 9th, finished 9th. That's Mikey Pollard's story for the race. And rounding out the top 10, it will be Jonathan Smith, who started from 16th on the grid. The penultimate position will now get reversed onto pole position for the next one. Jack Badger in 11th position with Connor Scudow, Mark Warner and Sondre Muller. Big drama though. Hans Jakob Siversen Mollett will retire from the race. We'll finish 11 laps down, but will retire from the race. Same with Ian Joyner and Sam Saunders. That was all in one major incident on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. But look at the bottom of your screen. Fastest lap from Hans Mollett. Could there be a big comeback in that next race? Remember, these drivers are not reversed. 11th through 17th, for courtesy of it being the top 10 reverse. These will start from the positions that they finished that race in. So Hans Mollett will start from 15th spot. Can he win from there? Seems to have the pace.
He's got the pace. That's a lot of work to do. He could definitely get inside the top 10 from there. How far, I guess, just depends how much chaos there is up ahead. For instance, Ryan Elliott there finishing P5. We didn't really speak about him the whole race. He just had a solid race in behind there and obviously took the positions that came to him. So, yeah, definitely the kind of race that we expected up towards the front. I don't think the wet weather helped too much with that, but that is what we like. That's what this series is for. And Mark Fletcher there winning by 3 seconds in the end. Is that going to be an omen, or was that just a bit of a circumstantial win? We'll have to find out.
Yeah, hopefully we will get ourselves some interviews. Hopefully the top lot will join us for a little bit of a chin wag after that race. But again, what a superb performance it was from Fletcher. I mean, there is part of the scenario where it's like it could be more luck than judgment, just with the incident that happened and it being in the right position at the right time. But that is part of this style of racing, being in the right place, being at the right time. It is critical, and obviously we're going to see that in the next race. We're probably going to see that in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship as well.
Absolutely, and your driving style generally gets you in those positions as well. So you saw with Woodhatch, he kept on getting in those awkward battles, and he was always sort of dropping back. So he obviously didn't quite have that last tenth of a second that he would have wanted in terms of his pace. And obviously Fletcher, on the other hand, he got himself in those positions. So I do think some driving sort of style puts you in those sorts of places. And Woodhatch, I think he's quite lucky to finish on the podium there, considering the incidents that he had. 2 big crashes with names up towards the front. So let's see how obviously the championship develops. It's just race 1. Of course, we have 8 rounds, 2 races each. That's 16 total races. Let's see how it goes.
Let's talk about that incident with Shomi Shintani then. Obviously, really coming down to the wire, dealing with things very, very late. Last lap, comes down into Graham Hill Bend. You've got Croft and Woodhatch on the outside. You've got Shomi Shintani on the inside. Contact between the pair of them. I mean, is that just one of those racing deals? I mean, we'll see it here.
Yeah, of course, we didn't quite see the offboard at the time as Fletcher was coming across the line, but here's how it started. So we've got Woodhatch on the inside, a little bit of contact made, and this puts Shintani wide, so he realises he's on the back foot. He's missing about half a car length that he would have wanted. Up the inside they go. How far alongside they were, to be fair, he's on that curb on the inside, but it's so difficult because I would say Woodhatch is leaving him room, but they were really squeezing each other.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things with these cars is the profile of these cars. They are really wide. They look. It's one of the main attributes. It's like a kart, but with that extra little bit on the sides. They are surprisingly wide and difficult to drive around here and difficult to race. Either way, you don't want us waffling. You want us to talk to our race winner. Mark Fletcher is here out of absolutely nowhere. Had a bit of an incident behind. Decided that was the time to run away. Talk us through that race for you. That was very exciting.
Yeah, these are very difficult. We had practice, which was wet and drying. Obviously, that was almost a full dry race, but there's still sort of wet patches on the outside of corners. And yeah, a fairly decent qualifying. I thought I was going to start on the wet part of the track, obviously down below the pit lane. But luckily, I started at the top, managed to get past Crofton and saw the guy coming behind us, and I was like, he's coming fairly quick. I was like, I need to be out front when he catches us. I tried not to battle with Crofton, and then yeah, just kind of got stuck together on the sort of exit of the hairpin, and yeah, those two collided behind, and I was like, right, that's it, I'm out, I'm gone, and yeah, just focused on getting to the end and yeah, getting the first win in the books, which is good.
Now, you left qualifying quite late there. You were the last of the drivers, I believe, to cross the line to set your third and final lap time. Was that down to the conditions? Conditions did look a little bit tricky out there. I mean, how is it from that side as well?
Yeah, that was my plan. Was leave at 4 minutes, get round. I hope the track had dried a little bit, but yeah, Crofton's rapid. He's really quick, so I knew that'd be a hard time to beat. And yeah, sometimes it's harder to try and, if you know what you're aiming for, to go and get it. But yeah, we were close enough.
Now, I had to deal with this a few times to Henry Moore last season. I've got some bad news for you, I'm afraid. The reverse grid number is 10. It is as big as it can be. What do you make of that? What do you make of your chances to come through the order?
Well, thank you. Cheers, Lewis. That's really good. Thanks for a great start of the season. No, it should be good. I enjoy reverse grids. Years and years of iRacing, so hopefully I can pick my way through. It's just going to be remembering that we've got wheels on the outside of the car, not the inside, and yeah, just try and get through in yeah, whoever's starting on pole is going to be a lucky man, because there's going to be some fast boys coming through pretty quick.
Well, hopefully we'll be catching up with you in a few moments' time. Mark Fletcher, our race winner there. We'll swap Mark out for Lewis Werrell as well, who, of course, did a fantastic job to come through to finish in second position, was embroiled in that late fight with Crofton Woodhatch and Shoma Shintani. Came out on top of that, timed the move right. I mean, that was a big battle for you there, Lewis.
Yeah, I started P7 after a not very good qualifying. And then in the race, just got a good start, made sure I didn't crash, and then got there and finished P2 in the end.
What's it like racing these cars around here? I mean, especially brands Indy, where it's almost like an oval in a sense. The racing seems to be coming thick and fast. It seems like you don't really have that much time to breathe around here.
I mean, yeah, everyone's so close. I was a 10th off and qualified P7, so I just knew that the first 2 laps were the most important 2 laps, and got into P4. And then they started battling ahead of me, and then Hans and the other guy crashed, and I got to P2, and then just had to defend for a bit, and then got a gap. But it's really hard to overtake around here. That's the problem.
Are you feeling like you might struggle a little bit in the reverse grid race coming up? Of course, I mean, you started from P7, you went up to second place. You're going to be starting from P9. What's the game plan for that?
Same again, and hopefully just don't crash, bide my times, quite a long race, and well, everyone's so close, so it'll be hard to get there, but I'll try.
Well, Lewis Werrell there, second place in that one. Maybe we'll be catching up with you a little bit later on. We'll grab our third and final podium sitter. Of course, it will be Crofton Woodhatch, who was able to take third position there later on in the race. Bit of a last lap drama, though, with yourself and Shoma Shintani. What were your thoughts of that incident?
Yes, it was a bit of a drama. I've looked it back on the replay, and I give him enough room, but then he just gets on the curb a little bit and just gets a bit of a snap, and then subsequently just comes into me. And yeah, so I don't know. It's one of those ones, really.
Knowing your pace, we've obviously seen it a little bit, and obviously there with pole position as well. Were you a little bit disappointed with third place? What are the actual feelings coming out of that race?
Yeah, a little bit. If I'm honest, I wasn't expecting to be on pole. I didn't feel like the lap was good enough for pole. So I was quite surprised with that. And then I tried to work with Mark at the beginning, but then Hans caught us so fast. And then I had the little incident with him as well. And then that just put me just sort of messed up my rhythm, to be honest.
It is a short season, of course, and obviously there is only 15 more races. Sounds like a lot, but obviously they go past very, very quickly. Your goals for this championship, obviously, it's clearly to go out and win the whole thing. Who are you mostly focused on in that? Are you focused on Mark? Is Hans Mollett, who obviously was really, really rapid in practice and was very quick through that race? You look at there, or is it too early to tell when you're just taking it one race at a time?
I think there's a lot of quick guys in here. But just, yeah, I think Hans, Mark, Shoma are all pretty quick. But I think on their day, anyone can really win.
Well, Crofton, good luck for the reverse grid race, which will be coming up in a few moments' time. It's going to be hard work, I think.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
No worries. There we go, Cam. Crofton Woodhatch and our podium interviewed Mark Fletcher, race winner, and in incredible fashion as well. Lovely to hear from our top 3, and very curious to see who's going to be our top 3 in this one. I don't think it's going to be as simple and clear cut as it was 12 months ago.
Oh, definitely not. It's looks like we've got a lot of top drivers up there fighting. With the reverse grid, you never know what is going to happen, because it obviously gives some drivers who maybe are slightly off the pace today a little bit more opportunity to try and go for that podium. We do have obviously some different weather conditions out there on the track now. They don't have too long to get up to speed with that. Obviously, the car will feel a little bit different with the balance, and that is certainly an important factor in this car, as we see already drivers crashing in practice there. Hopefully they don't recreate that. That was Jonathan Smith going for a spin there. And as we obviously will work out over the course of this next race, we might see if there is a bit of a reverse grid merchant who can get themselves up loads of points in this race, and of course for the championship over the 16 races, that would be very important.
What do you mean by reverse grid merchant? Let's spell that out for the ladies and gentlemen at home, just in case they don't know.
There are some drivers who just seem to have the ability to make up those places, I guess especially on the first couple of laps when everyone's really close together. And say you start 15th, they're able to get already up inside the top 10 there. Then they work their way through a couple of places, already P7. Then a couple of crashes happen ahead of them because it always happens. Then you're inside the top 5. And before you know it, you maybe get a podium. There's some certain drivers who just seem to be able to have that, when there's other drivers, kind of like myself, who would go to P15, send it down the inside into Druids, crash, and then you don't get the points.
See, I was thinking reverse grid merchant of a very different kind. Here's a name that you might remember, Cam, but probably won't. From my era of racing, there was a guy called David Junt. I'm not trying to chuck him under the bus. But,
I do, yeah.
Yeah, he was a proper reverse grid merchant in the sense of would always finish around about 10th or something, and then would get reversed up the pole and then would win. And he's won the most races of anyone. And every champ that I took part in, it was always reverse grid. So, you know, that to me is a reverse grid merchant.
But you've also, but in some ways, that just means you're bad in race 1 because you got the speed in race 2. I would say.
Or maybe it just means that you're bad.
Or that.
Who knows? Second race is on the horizon, though. Obviously, the grid order will be set. 15 minutes will go back onto the clock, though. And again, it is a top 10 reverse grid from the results of the previous race. So Jonathan Smith will be starting from pole position. Mikey Pollard, Brandon Loudon, Harvey Jones, Shoma Shintani, obviously involved in that incident, will start alongside Ryan Elliott on row 3. Not really spoken about Ryan Elliott that much. Ben Smith will start from 7th position. Crofton Woodhatch, of course, on the 3rd position in the previous race, will start from 8th. Lewis Werrell from 9th position. Mark Fletcher from 10th. Jack Badger and Connor Skidell in 11th and 12th there on row number 6, with Mark Warner, Sondre Millett, and of course Hans Millett starting from 15th position will be very hungry. Same with Ian Joyner and Sam Saunders, who were all involved in that fight around the sort of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, that kind of area, and were all taken out in that one instant. How much progress do you think they can really make in this race? Do you think they reach the checkered flag?
Oh, I think they'll be involved in another crash trying to make their way through. But for this race, I'm going to say Ryan Elliott from P6, the number 66.
I've got a story about Ryan Elliott. I'll tell you that one a little bit later on. He'll be starting from 6th place. That's fine. Jonathan Smith and Mikey Pollard will be starting from the front row. It is time to get the second race underway. After this, we've got British Formula 4 Esports action. Let's get this show on the road as we head down into the first corner. Great start from Harvey Jones there on the second row. He gets to the outside of Brandon Loudon as we head through the first corner, but can't quite complete the move. It is a good start from Al Polson to the up and under already coming in from Mikey Pollard, who was plenty aggressive enough in the previous race to go after the race lead as he sent it down the inside to Druids. Trying to get past at the moment, but Jonathan Smith around the outside in the green and orange car will hang on to the race lead. Mirrors being filled though by Mikey Pollard and Brandon Loudon, who run 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, there's already a big send up the inside to Druids as well for Shintani, who's made up a place. So that is not too bad from him. Werrell as well has got past Smith to P7. We got a big fight down behind for Sanders and Mollett. So all happening up towards the front as the drivers try and get themselves into a nice place. Shintani already maybe up into 3rd as he gets the run, crashes in behind.
Sam Sanders has been sent round as we look further back there. It was Mark Warner who'd been sent around himself. And then obviously Sam Sanders was the one who's been spun around in the foreground. Shoma Shintani straight down the inside, 3rd position already for Shoma. So moving forward very, very quickly now. Takes the defensive line to hang on to 3rd position. Big send around the outside though coming in from Brandon Loudon. Can't quite make that one stick as Harvey Jones and Ryan Elliott run 4th, 5th and 6th behind. And out wide a little bit there goes Brandon Loudon.
Absolutely. In the background, Smith and Woodhatch batting for that P10, so trying to make up some places. Fletcher's already got Woodhatch. That is an important move for the championship as we work our way to looking at that at the end of this race. And a bit of a sliding move there for Jack Badger as Smith drops down 2 places.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be big though for the race lead this time by Get the Feeling, as Harvey Jones will go side by side a little bit here with Brandon Loudon trying to get to the inside. There's a look to the outside for the 27 of Shoma Shintani for 2nd spot, but still settles the 3rd. Big move though for the race lead. Mikey Pollard's going now to the inside at the moment of Jonathan Smith. Shoma Shintani's going to try and make it 3 wide coming on towards Druid. That one's only going to end in tears. Backs out of it slightly, hangs on the 3rd spot, side by side for the race lead. Around the outside will go Jonathan Smith. The inside line of that yellow car is Mikey Pollard, and it still will be Jonathan Smith leading as Shoma Shintani gets to the inside of Graham Hill.
Yeah, this is crazy. Look at the 6 cars in the battle for the background as well. So crazy scenes here, as everyone knows this is a good opportunity to score points. We are 2 by 2 coming through Surtees. This is absolutely mad. There's Jones in front. Then we've got Ryan Elliott in the black and red machine trying to go around the outside of Loudon in the blue and purple machine on towards this front straightaway. There's not very straight at all. And then we see this slipstream maneuver up the inside. It's going to be for Brandon Loudon. Can he hold that? He's got Ryan Elliott, the 66, on his outside. Should be able to have that. No, Elliott is going to hold it. That is brave as we come up to Druids.
Yeah, indeed. The inside line will be looked at by Lewis Werrell as well. Werrell sends it. There's Werrell on the shot on the right-hand side. There's a little bit of contact. Ryan Elliott's been sent out wide. Brandon Loudon remains side-by-side with Werrell. They're side-by-side even behind this as Mark Fletcher will join the fight as well. They work their way through Graham Hill. And where does Fletcher go in order to be right on board with? He's going to make it 3 wide here. He's getting shuffled out, though, onto the grass. Has to lift slightly there, as does not want to take it side-by-side with Elliott and, of course, with Werrell. A big slide there going into the final corner for Brandon Loudon. This is absolute chaos.
These guys have been 3 wide 3 times on the shortest racetrack you'll ever see. Fletcher's going to make a double move here, almost 4 wide actually, as Woodhatch is trying to get involved in the background. Up the inside, is he going to make it work? Yes, Fletcher gets past both of them. Woodhatch might have those 2 places as well. So Elliott and Loudon both drop back. We come up towards Druids for another time. Werrell is leading this battle. Fletcher's in behind, and there is the white machine of Woodhatch down the inside.
Yeah, so Woodhatch is going to potentially try and clear that one as Elliott's got the inside line. I know Elliott will get quite aggressive here, though, as they squeeze down into Graham Hill Bend. There goes Elliott round. I think there might have been a little bit of space between them as Elliott had just about given enough room, but big shame for Crofton. Woodhatch then not going to be on the podium in this one. I think might be looking at a retirement.
What did I say earlier about there's certain drivers who get them involved? Woodhatch having a crash, Fletcher working his way up. Fletcher is doing this event so good in both races so far, especially in this reverse grid race, saving those points up inside the top 5 as he'll get Werrell as well. We're going to see the replay, the 2 side by side, bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, just like we saw in that first race with Mollett.
It's so like I look at that and I almost think that's a racing incident a little bit between them. There was I do, at least my initial reactions, I think Crofton Woodhatch does give enough room, but it's so awkward that corner, and it's that really awkward front wheel to rear wheel contact that can just send you round in an instant, and there's just nothing you can really do about it. But that'll be one, again, for race control to deal with, and not ours. Almost front to rear contact here. They're in a different sort, as Harvey Jones in second space nearly had Shoma Shintani in the rear end, nearly spun them around going into the final corner.
I tell you what, it's a good thing that these cars don't have rear diffusers or front wings, otherwise there would have been contact, but instead the nose just slipped underneath the rear crash structure. That is amazing. Shintani getting so close there in towards Paddock Hill Bend, sliding that rear end, losing a couple of car lengths. That might bring Mikey Pollard back into it a little bit. Not quite this time around though, as we are seeing, of course, Smith still leading the way. Almost a second is working its way up, but look at this train in behind of everyone chasing. It really is a huge group of drivers at the front here, and they are all keeping the speed very high.
Yeah, indeed, and they're 0.8 of a second behind our race leader. I do think they're going to catch Jonathan Smith, especially if the likes of Shoma Shintani or Mark Fletcher have anything to say about it. We know how quick they are. Out wide there goes Mikey Pollard. Inside line coming in from the white, black and blue car of our race winner, the 111 of Mark Fletcher. Championship leader, obviously, after just a single race. Looks to try and really cement that in a very Henry Moore-esque way. As down the inside of the first corner he's going to go. 4th position for him. Lewis Werrell going for the up and under, trying to follow Mark Fletcher up the order. Could we be seeing the title fight between those two throughout the year? I distinctly remember Dan Moore did not qualify particularly well for the first race, much to what Lewis Werrell did, and still worked his way up the order, got involved in the championship. And this is what we're seeing from Lewis Werrell as well.
Yeah, this is a lovely race, just working his way forward. 4 places gained already, and there's potential for a couple of positions more, with the gap to the front is coming down though, as that's way wide there from Loudon. So we're going to see Sandra Mollett get up the inside potentially. No, not quite, as Loudon will hold on to that, but that's certainly not the best racing line, as we do see the 27 there. That is Shintani looking down the inside in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Can he get up inside second place? Jones down into 3rd, and Shintani's really looking aggressive this race, and he's making those moves.
Well, Shintani's got a little bit of work to make up after the incident, obviously late on in the previous race. Got dropped down to 6th position. So started this one from 5th. Already has Mark Fletcher closing up. And I'm sure, based on the speed that we've seen from Shomi Shintani, is a driver who's expecting to fight for this championship. That was, you know, some very late drama after the incident with Crofton Woodhatch, who of course is out of the race in this one. We'll probably be aware of that as well and thinks, look, this is now is the time where I can gain some of that ground back in the championship and maybe score some decent points. So Shomi Shintani knocking at the door again for a victory. Jonathan Smith currently holds on to it. The gap 0.6 of a second. Trust me, as we are halfway through this race, that gap will not last.
And on the front straight there, the top 10 were all in the same picture, which is amazing to see how close everyone is staying. Just 4 seconds covering both the Smiths. Jonathan Smith leading Ben Smith down in P10. And look at all of the cars on your screen. We're still, of course, yet to really find out the final positions as such, because I think with one little mistake here and there, anything can change very, very quickly. No one going side by side on this particular lap, though. Or is that going to change as you come in towards the final corner? Mullet there half thinking about it, but not quite getting the overlap.
And with Jonathan Smith leading and Ben Smith being in 10th, what does that make the top 10, Cam and Roger?
A Smith
everyone
sandwich.
Else sandwich. No, it's not a Smith sandwich, don't you start. You'll get fired. But no, it's an everyone sandwich with Smith bread, as there's the big look to the inside. Brandon Loudon making the move on Mikey Pollard as we ride on board with Sondre Mullet to the inside as we head down into the... Oh, there's contact! There's big contact! And can Hans Mullet work their way through? There was huge contact there between Sondre Mullet, between Brandon Loudon and between Mikey Pollard, who somehow has come through all of that and remains side by side with Ben Smith. And Hans Mullet has gone, oh, I'll take all three of them. Bye.
Oh, Lord. You should have seen my face I was making as we came in towards Druids there. That was never going to end well. 3 cars involved in that very aggressive move down the inside. That just shows you how very quickly things can change here at Brands Indy. And that does spread it out a little bit. It's really now 5 cars up towards the front, and then a little bit of a gap behind you. Say Mullet getting through to 6th place, down from about 15th on the grid. That's some great points recovery.
Yeah, it certainly is. This is just making me more and more excited for the British Formula 4 Esports Championship, which again is up just after this race. We'll handle the interviews. We'll have a little bit of a listen to an interview that I had with Paul Crawford and a build-up to this title race. But it's going to be an exciting one for the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. This is a look back at that incident. Contact Pollard was kind of telling... It just all seems like very much a 3-1 don't work.
Oh, absolutely. No driver wanted to back out there. And at the end of the day, someone has to, because you can't go the whole track 3 wide. Up towards the front, Shintani, of course, has taken the lead. Smith in the green car is trying to come back at that. It's a 4-car battle. Mark Fletcher actually has the opportunity with 5 minutes to go to get a double race victory here, the first event of the season. Let's see how this one works out. He's still sitting in that P4 currently, as you also see Jonathan Smith still just about holding on to that 2nd place for now.
2 drivers last season had back-to-back victories. One was Dan Moore, of course, Snetterton and Alton Park. And then Henry Moore won 3 on the bounce. Donington Park won the first 2 races and then won the first race at Snetterton. And then won 5, 6 on the bounce later on in the season. Never mind. So we did the double in the round, which has only been done 3 times last season of the 8 possible attempts. Mark Fletcher can start out the season by taking the maximum haul of points and taking a race 1 and a race 2 victory. But Shomi Shintani currently leads the race with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. Here comes the look to Mark Fletcher, trying to make it 3 wide. Backs out of it though, and allows Harvey Jones to send one to the inside of Jonathan Smith as they head through the first corner. Smith might get dropped backwards here a little bit. They might be joined by Lewis Werrell in this fight, as it is still the fight continuing for 2nd position. Is that going to allow Shomi Shintani to check out if there's a crash? Definitely.
Hey, I was just thinking that as well. I'm like, all this does, every corner is give him an extra half a car length here, half a car length there, and before you know it, he's going to be best part of a 2nd behind. Let's see this one with Fletch. He's got to play this one smart, as he has done for the last race and a half. Big send down the inside there from Jones. Can he make it stick? No, with too much of a wiggle. This is going to give the opportunity for Fletcher to get up on the podium.
Yep, Superstar just about given enough room there by Harvey Jones. Now picks up the slipstream of Jonathan Smith, who's trying to find it on Shoma Shintani. To the inside at Paddock Hill, he's going to go. Big on the brakes goes Harvey Jones. It's not going to work. Has to drop back in line then in fourth position. So Mark Fletcher up to third place now. Championship leader working his way up the order deep into the slipstream. Has moved up from 10th position now onto the podium. Needs to get past Jonathan Smith fairly soon, and then will be embroiled in this fight with Shoma Shintani for the race victory.
Yeah, this is working out very nicely indeed for the championship that is coming up for 7 more rounds over the next 10 weeks. After this one is going to be amazing to see. And we now have 5 cars battling for victory. What more can you love? Even in a reverse grid race or not, these are still the fastest drivers we have in this championship going at it. Shintani, they're hard to the right-hand side, trying to hold off on the slipstream. Down the inside, Fletcher's going to go, though, second position. Can he make it? Bit of contact. No, they avoid that as he come up to Druids.
Yeah, indeed. Outside lines being taken, of course, by Jonathan Smith. And naturally, Shoma Shintani will give the slipstream to Jonathan Smith, but too deep onto the brakes. A little bit of contact as well as Harvey Jones was trying to slot the gap behind Jonathan Smith. Mark Fletcher then up to second position as Jonathan Smith backed out of it ever so slightly. Shoma Shintani's done whatever he could for the race leaders. We ride on board there a little bit to have a look a little bit further down the order. Shoma Shintani leads them from Mark Fletcher, from Jonathan Smith, from Harvey Jones, from Lewis Werrell. The top 5 very much in this. Lewis Werrell, though, not satisfied with 5th position as he works his way through inside the top 4, but crucially now is nearly a second behind this group.
Yeah, important place, but may just be out of this podium fight. He hasn't actually completed it, though, as we get in towards the braking zone. Paddock Hill Bend, around the outside for Jones is going to be. Remember, Jones was up into second place at one point, now down into 5th, and really out of a hope of a race victory today if everything stays normal, with just 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining in this very short Brands Indy circuit. The top 3 have got away. We did have an 8-car train at one point, but these battles are just so crazy that they lose each other time.
Yeah, but still, they've got plenty of time left in this one as they'll come round to start the penultimate lap of this race. There will be more than enough time. Harvey Jones has a little bit of a look down the inside, but there was no room to speak of to get down the inside of Lewis Werrell. The top 3 march on a second and a bit clear of this. Unless there is a heavy fight between the lot of them, we will not see either of these drivers on the podium. The Alpha Esports man of Harvey Jones, though, will fill the mirrors of Lewis Werrell, but doesn't fancy filling them that deeply. Can still see the top 3 up ahead. Surely the focus between the 2 of these is let's not battle, let's go for a win.
Yeah, I would assume so. But every driver wants to fight for every position, you know, the car in front of you or in the mirrors behind you. They are going for absolutely everything. The top 3, and even these 2, they don't really have a look at each other too much. They're waiting, I guess, for the final lap, which is coming up. Just 30 seconds remaining on the clock. They have enough time for one more loop around this Brands Indy track. Shintani is going to lead now, but will he lead in a minute's time?
And that's the big talking point here. Has Mark Fletcher timed this to perfection? Will he go for a move now? It's not going to... A drag race to the line, it's not going to work out in favour of you. The white flag was out. Shoma Shintani leads. Is he too deep at Paddock Hill? Will Mark Fletcher find a move down the inside into Druid? Shoma Shintani now defends. Fletcher to the outside. It's going to go deep onto the brakes, but so is Shintani. Beautiful defence from Shintani.
Absolutely. Can he hold it here? This is the important corner where we saw contact in the previous race that saw him lose a podium place, but this time he gets through nicely.
Yeah, so just 2 more corners left to go. We go through Surtees, we go through clearways, flick it through the left-hander, then onto the brakes into the right-hander. This is the final point for an overtaking opportunity. Fletcher was thinking about it, but I think he's thinking title game as they head through the final turn. It should be a victory for Shoma Shintani. It will be a drag race between them up towards the line. It'll come down to less than a 10th of a second. Shintani knows that he's done the work. Shoma Shintani comes back from drama in the previous race to win here in the second race of the Formula Fords. Mark Fletcher will have to settle for second place, less than a 10th behind, and Jonathan Smith, superb drive, reverse grid pole position, took maximum advantage with a 3rd place finish after a superb drive, kept up with the leaders and showed the pace in hand.
Yeah, I love the reaction as well from Shoma there. He really put in the work that race. He already got a couple of places on that first lap, then one by one got the final few. And Mark Fletcher as well, from obviously P10, getting up there to P2, and how he didn't dive Shoma into that final corner, I think just shows he's thinking the long game. P1, P2, we will take that, especially with other fast drivers like Woodhatch, like Mollett not having the best round.
Yeah, indeed. And like I say, that will be a championship lead, which will have extended there in the second race as Shoma Shintani takes victory. So it'll be 6th and 1st for Shintani on the opening evening here in the Formula Fords. Mark Fletcher 1st and 2nd. Pretty handy. Jonathan Smith then onto a first podium of the season with Lewis Werrell moving up from 9th position to 4th. So the same positions gained as in the previous race. Harvey Jones with 5th place and Hans Mollett from the rear of the field, basically all the way up to 6th. Ben Smith in 7th position with Jack Badger, Mikey Pollard, who was involved in that incident, and Sondre Mollett will round out the top 10 finishers in that 666 car. For the final few positions, it's Brandon Loudon, Connor Scudow, Sam Saunders, and Ryan Elliott. Elliott definitely had a fair share of drama in that race, finishing down in 14th position. Ian Joyner, disastrous start to the season. Retirement in race 1, retirement in race 2. Mark Warner having a couple of struggles as well, being down there. And Crofton Woodhatch, podium in the first race, retirement in the second. That shows how difficult this is going to be in 2024.
Oh, this is going to be a tough championship indeed. And I love the way that these cars race. It really is difficult. You have to really work your if you're the car behind, you really have to work the car ahead to get offline, to try and get them to get a run on them. It's a really a car that brings the racecraft out. It's the old school racing, and around these tight circuits it's going to be absolutely amazing. Although of course we do go to Zandvoort next, which is a completely different style of circuit, but I'm sure it will be just as good.
Now, do remember that obviously up in a few moments' time, it will be the start of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship, which is going to be absolutely excellent. It's going to be enthralling. It's going to be crazy. Before we get to it, though, I think it's right that we catch up with our podium from that race. We'll start with Shoma Shintani, of course, after an unbelievable performance in that one. Shoma, you did fantastic. Excellent drive, and had to carve your way a little bit through the field, and then had to defend from Mark Fletcher for the final couple of laps. Talk us through that race. Talk us through the emotion that we saw from you over the line.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't enough pace to be a fastest on the grid, but yeah, I have a confidence to defend my position. So yeah, I was just happy. Yeah.
Tell me your emotions after race 1. Obviously, there was that spin late on in the incident between you and Crofton Woodhatch. How did you overcome that and get ready for race 2?
Yeah, I mean, it was I know it was a racing incident, but yeah, I was in P3 until that moment. So yeah, but yeah, I know we have the race after race 1. So yeah, yeah, I can change my mind. Yeah.
What are you expecting for the rest of the season? Do you think you can go and win this thing? Do you think you could take victory from Mark Fletcher, take over the top of the points, and win the whole thing? Obviously, in a few weeks' time.
Yeah. My goal in this championship is to be a champion of this season. So yeah, I know it's gonna be a hard to be battling with Mark Fletcher for the championship, but yeah, I try my best.
Well, thank you so much for joining. What an excellent victory, Shoma. Thank you so much. We'll see you in a week's time.
Yeah, thank you.
Shoma Shintani then, obviously victor in the opening race of the season. Let's go from one championship protagonist to another. Mark Fletcher back in the booth. Wondered if we would talk to you here in the second race. What a drive to go from all the way to second. Brilliant.
That was tough. That was really tough. Yeah, I'm kind of playing the long game. I don't mean to. It's the first round, but yeah, it was just trying to keep clean and yeah, just watch everybody behind me fall off, which was nice.
Now, in that race, you were behind Shoma Shintani on the last couple of laps. You were looking like you might have gone on the attack, and we didn't see that cutthroat attack. I almost thought that you might do something at the final corner. Is that literally all just playing the long game? If maybe you can force a mistake, that's cool, but you're not going to go for anything too risky, even this early in the season?
Yeah, I was watching him and Jonathan race when I was sort of, I think it was Lewis or Harvey by me. I was watching the race. I was like, these two are fighting quite hard. So once I got past Jonathan, obviously up into Graham Hill. I watched him into that last corner, and there was a car's width, but if I'd have put my car there, I would have had an incident. So I thought, you know what? He didn't have a great race one. I had a P1. Let's just bring home a P2. But there was a little bit inside of me that went, might, you should have sent that.
Could have joined Henry Moore as the only driver to have won 2 races in 1 round. So, maybe there's that. What are you expecting, though, throughout the season? Obviously, a few drivers have had a bad round here. Are you kind of expecting that maybe at some point throughout the season that you're going to have to kind of face that as well? Henry Moore didn't last season, really. Yeah,
I think it's so close. I think qualifying showed us that. I think the top 10 was split by 2 tenths. I think I got really lucky with the first round because we knew the calendar. I was just saying to Jonathan, I think I topped over just over 200 laps of testing. So I put the effort in, and that's what it's about. But whether we can do that for the remaining rounds, that's yet to be seen.
200 laps is about 25 minutes around Brands Hatch, so we'll have to wait and see. Mark Fletcher, superb drive this evening. Thank you so much.
Nice one. Cheers, Lewis. Have a good evening.
There we go. Mark Fletcher, championship leader comfortably. We'll have one final driver to join on the podium, and it will be one Mr. Jonathan Smith. And what a great drive it was. Third, ended up in the 3rd position. Obviously, started from the reverse grid pole. What were you kind of expecting from that reverse grid pole?
Chaos, to be honest. I could see the pace of everyone in the first race, and I got lucky with the reverse grid. So pleased to manage to hold it together. Shoma was really quick, as was Mark. So I just thought I'd try and play it, get a clean result. So pleased to get the job done.
How hard is it when you're passed by? I want to be respectful here. When you're passed by a Shoma Shintani or a Mark Worrell, who are at least showing this round faster drivers, how hard is it to actually just try and keep up with them? Or is that kind of relatively easy with the slipstream in this car?
Yeah, the slip's so powerful at this track. So it was, I think, probably a couple of tenths off, but Brands isn't my favourite track. But you just try and keep it clean, keep it consistent. There's a couple of instances in the first few laps after the battling behind, and I thought we were possibly going to break the slip and I'd have a chance, but didn't quite. Probably another half a second and I would have cleared it. But it was, not to be, and they closed it up. So I just thought I'd try and keep it clean for the last few laps.
Obviously, next week we go to a Grand Prix venue with Zandvoort. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
What were you expecting there?
Definitely. I mean, it's a very undulated track, isn't it? So I think it'd be really good for these cars. They're lots of fun. They move around. So I think it's just going to be trying to keep the tyre temperatures down, and more of the same from this week, I think, hopefully, if nothing else.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much. Excellent drive and a great podium.
Thanks. Yeah. Have a good evening.
Yeah, there we go. And that is our top 3 from race number 2 here in the Formula Fords. Cam, briefly, before we get ourselves ready for British Formula 4, I can't wait. What do you make of that?
Oh, that was an amazing start to the season, and I think that is really just going to open the door to a great season. Of course, a lot of races still to go, so we don't really know who the championship contenders are, but I'm really liking Mark Fletcher's attitude. I liked how sensible he was being, but also he was very fast, so he's got that sort of double bonus to him.
We do like drivers who play the long game. Sometimes it can be boring, but other times it's very, very interesting. It's them using their entire capability of their mind, which is sometimes very difficult when you're out there on a grid with 20 or so other drivers who are just desperate to take victory. That is what we like to see. And if you're excited to see lots of drivers battling for victory at the very, very limit, the British Formula 4 Esports Championship will be getting ready very, very soon. Before that, though, I had a little trip to the British Formula 4 Esports Media Day, which was joined by a few drivers. We'll be catching up with a few of those throughout the season to see what we actually got up to on Media Day. Before that, I had a great chance to sit down with Paul Crawford just before the start of the season to see exactly what's what here in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. So I'm joined by Paul Crawford, who's the head of esports here at Motorsports UK, getting ready for another season in British Formula 4 Esports. This is going to be interesting.
Yes, season 3 British F4 Esports Championship. We obviously run the real world British F4 Championship, and we've kind of taken that and taken it to the virtual world in esports. Season 3, a lot of big names returning, but some have disappeared and been replaced by others. So it's going to be a very interesting season, I think. Yeah, I think we'll touch on that in a second. Obviously, being the 3rd season, we've built on quite a lot over the 3 seasons. Obviously now going out on iRacing, their channel on broadcast stuff. Like everything's changing season on season. How hard is that behind the scenes? Yeah, it's quite challenging, but it's also really rewarding trying to grow this championship into one of like the premier British Championship. yeah, partnering with iRacing for this year has been really good. Directly, they've kindly offered to broadcast it across their channels, so hopefully we'll get a lot more eyeballs on it, which is what we all want for esports and sim racing. And yeah, you know, going through the process of getting teams signed back up and partners and getting prizes in place is a lot of hard work, especially with all the other championships that we run.
Yeah, we know the racing's always excellent in British Formula 4 esports, and obviously we've seen that over the last couple of years. Normally with the Apex Racing team towards the front, but I think that's the big talking point coming to this one. They're not here.
No, so yeah, last year they won team and drivers championship, and in first season they won the drivers championship with Luke McEwen, who won both. But yeah, they're not coming back for 2024, which is a shame, but you know, that's their decision. So we are guaranteed a new winner because Luke is not here and Apex are not here. So yeah, definitely wide open season, new teams who are, you know, we don't know their form coming into it. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting, I think.
Yeah, it means there's a lot for us to look back on stats-wise, lots for us to look forward to. Of course, you know, who are we really looking forward to? Obviously, Williams Esports are back. They have 2 teams now with Williams Esports Academy as well. Yeah. They've got Alex Spetz back, who, of course, I was telling you a bit earlier, is the driver who had the first ever pole position in British Formula 4 Esports and still hasn't won, so that's fine. Seeing some names like that back, you know, it's very interesting what they can do.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, on form and the fact that they are coming back for a 3rd season, I'd probably say that they are one of the main favourites for the team championship. They know how to race in the championship. They know the circuits. And I'd say, you know, Alex Spetz is probably one of the favourites for the drivers championship as well. But yeah, lots of other names coming in. You know, one of the big names, kind of Ferrari, have joined the championship. Graham Carroll, a big name within esports, but you know, there's a lot of talent throughout the whole grid.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what Graham Carroll will do. Obviously, we've seen him in the Porsche Tactical Esports Super Cup and various other things. Obviously, we've got Jarl Tyne, somebody who also has World Championship experience on iRacing with the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, you know, back in the day. Somebody who's got a lot of experience generally in sim racing. You know, and then you start looking at like some of the other teams. Obviously, we had Jarl Tyne, that's BS Competition. You've got Guild Racing here returning and looking quite strong. We've got our Formula Ford top 2 also taking part.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, Guild coming back with Remy, who did last season. Leo Brown, new driver for this year. So it'd be really interesting to see how kind of Remy pushes on from a good performance last year. He got a win last year, if I remember correctly. And so I think those drivers will kind of be in the mix as well. Yeah, and then Henry Moore and Dana Moore coming off the back of being in the top 2 of the UK FF 1600 Esports Cup last season, who kind of have gone from being kind of hobby racers, trying to break into the pro levels, both now been signed to pro teams with Guild for Henry and Apex Academy for Dana Moore. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they go from the FF 1600, obviously no downforce in those cars, very different car to drive, if they can immediately kind of adapt to the world of F4 and high downforce, super close racing, which they are used to, and see if they can come in and kind of be right at the front from the start. I think that will be really interesting. I think fixed setups for this year, which is new, I think that might help those sort of drivers, and also drivers who've been generally further down the grid potentially, to help them kind of get up towards the front or into the mid pack at least. You know, we discussed with the teams after last season around setups, because it's always that discussion point of, do you want open, do you want fixed setups? And a lot of them actually said fixed, even the bigger teams who you might think wanted to be open setups, but they actually said we'd rather just have time for our drivers to get quick with the setup rather than spending loads of time tinkering with the setup and ending up kind of potentially going down the wrong route. They just want to know, right, this is the setup, let's go.
Obviously, they're not just battling for a little bit of fun. There are prizes up for offer. What's happening on that side of things?
Yeah, so obviously the main part of this from the driver's point of view is the fact that it's an official British Championship. So that means they will go to the Night of Champions that we host every year, which is where the champions of the British Championship go and receive their championship trophy. Presented from like David Richards or Ron Dennis of previous years, and kind of be put on a level playing field with the real world racing drivers, which is exactly where we see esports sitting. It is a motorsport in its own right, it just happens to be online, and we really want to make the driver who wins that field part of that and part of the motorsport community and industry, and not just esports. So that's the main thing that the drivers are competing for. On the teams front, we've actually gone down the route of getting a bit of real world motorsport experience. So Club 100 Karting have joined and for the top 3 teams, they all get free entries into a number of rounds. The championship, which they can use for their drivers, potentially for staff members if they wanted to. Again, just trying to give back and help with this synergy between the real world motorsport and esports, trying to connect them a bit more, because there's a lot of, you do esports and we'll do motorsport. Was actually they should be kind of seen together. Base performance simulators have come back on again to give time in their full F4 simulator. Again, for the top 3 teams, they get free time in that for a day with their engineers, and again, they can either treat it as training or they can treat it as a fun day out and a team bonding exercise, which is great. And this year we've also brought in hospitality at the F4 round of the team's choice, and along with a free ARDS test or license for the winning drive if they want to go down that route.
Nice. There's a lot up for grabs for a lot of these drivers, these teams that will be fighting up towards the top end. I think it's kind of one of those ones you said about British Formula 4 esports kind of trying to be on the same level as motorsport stuff with United Champions, and we've kind of seen that a lot in esports as it's grown. Obviously, there's a lot of big names in this championship. Thank you very much, Paul, and
thank you
again. Hopefully, you'll join us for the British Formula 4 Esports Championship this year. It is officially back, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. It has been a long time coming. Cannot wait for this one. Lewis McGlade, Cameron Roger, ready to take you through the first action of the season here from West Kingsdown in Kent, from Brands Hatch, Indy, where the season starts and the season indeed ends. We had unbelievable drama back in 2023, where the championship finished with 0 points separating first and second. Cameron Roger, will we have it again?
Oh, I hope so. It's going to be such good fun, and I can't wait to see who's going to be going for this championship. As you say, we ended up on a tie at the end of all of the races, all 16 races. Gordy Much, Luke McEwen tied on points. It came back to count back, and that is exactly what we're hoping to see once again this season. Can't wait to see how it goes. 2 races every evening, reverse grid race, loads of good teams, loads of good drivers. Can't wait.
Let's rifle through the info then before we get into it. Qualifying is underway at the moment. After this, we'll head into a 20-minute race before we'll have a 20-minute race, but with the important bit of it being reverse grid. We'll bring the spinny wheel back out again and see how much drama and chaos we are going to have. 2 races up for action. Again, qualifying is underway. Let's talk about what they're fighting for, though, and the prizes for the 2024 season in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. You can see them all there. There is a lot of prizes. You kind of heard Paul Crawford as well talking about them a little bit. Plenty of up there, obviously, with Club 100, hospitality tickets as well. And the other one, which is great, the base performance simulator. We've got those back on board with a full day of testing going to the top 3 teams in the championship. And to be fair, the invitation to the Night of Champions, absolutely incredible to see Luke McEwen there last year as well. And honestly, absolutely fantastic. A great group of prizes for all of our competitors that will be taking part, as long as they compete up towards the top end of the championship. Let's talk about the calendar, though, of course, and where we'll be racing. We know we'll be starting out things here at Brands Indy. We'll be heading to Circuit Zandvoort, though, in a week's time before we have a couple of week break and then go to the Snetterton 300 circuit before we do a trio of rounds. Snetterton 300, Alton Park International and Silverstone Grand Prix before we have another week break. And then we return for the final 3. Knock Hill, north of the border, Donington Park, and then Brands GP. We return to West Kingsdown for that season finale, which we know will be dramatic. Rain is on this season. We could see some of the wet stuff hitting. We already saw it touch a little bit of the first Formula Ford race of the season. Although, as we saw from the couple of clips we've had in qualifying, it looks absolutely beautiful out here, Cam.
Oh, it certainly does. And a couple of minutes remain in the qualifying session. Loads of lap times already on the board. Of course, Remy Gilbert up towards the front. Less than a tenth covering your top 6. Less than a quarter of a second for your top 16. It is so close out there. Hotly competitive. And look at P5. Henry Moore, your Formula 4 champion from last year, jumping up, of course, as the prize into the Formula 4 Esports and already up in the top 5.
But look at how close it is, Cam. Gergo Baldi, 1/10 off a pole, 6th place. Joseph Loke, Formula 3 driver. Hello. Obviously jumping in as a reserve driver for this round. Into 8th position. We'll take a look at the pole lap, though, from Remy Gilbert, who, of course, is a race winner around here last year. For Guild Racing, jumping up and taking the initial pole position of the season. Cam, talk us through it.
Absolutely. Very fast in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Of course, a lot more downforce on these cars. They absolutely fly through there. Up towards Druids. This would be an important overtaking opportunity, especially on the first lap, but as we work our way through the race. Get the car over to the right-hand side, though, on the exit, because you need to open up Graham Hill Bend. You can use all of the curb here on the entry, on the exit. Get that momentum down this back straightaway before you absolutely fly through the chicane into Surtees. Got to be very careful not to open the door for someone to dive you down the inside here. Try and get the best apex you can to get the run up towards the line, ever turning right, but someone might just pip you if you get a wheel spot on exit. It's very fast, it's very intense, and that is why we see such close lap times in quality.
The more I'm looking at this order, the more I'm getting more and more pumped here, Cap. It is such a good grid. 26 drivers. Let's talk you through it. Remy Gilbert then will start from pole position for the first race of the season alongside Matt Caruana. A lot of stories about Matt. Let's talk about that in a few moments' time, though. Guild Racing will be first and third. Leo Brown in third. Great stuff. I know his mum will be watching, so hello. Graham Carroll will start from fourth position for the Scuderia Ferrari HP Esports team. Henry Moore for Guild Racing, as a privateer entry in a sense, will start from 5th place alongside Gergo Baldi, one of the most experienced drivers in sim racing. Beckham Jasir will start from 7th position alongside Joseph Loke, Formula 3 driver, with Lafaro starting from 9th, and Will Chadwick starting from 10th. We can't get rid of him. Elias Riker will start from 11th position, and Dan and Moore again, jumping up from the Formula Fords last season, will be starting from 12th position. Alexander Spetz, who had the first ever pole position in British Formula 4 Esports, he'll be starting from 3rd, with Joel Hull starting from 14th. Then Kieran Prendergast basically making a debut on iRacing. Doesn't have much iRacing experience. He'll be starting from 15th position, starting alongside Ryan McCallum. Jarl Tyen, eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, will have to start from 17th position alongside Isaac Price for G2. Grid's not done yet, though. Yoni Kapler will start from 19th position, with Connor Muir starting from 20th. Quitiago Martau will start from 21st, with Pablo Espez in 22nd position. Piotr Stalachuk will start from 23rd position, with Szymon Chulik. And of course, the final row of the grid will see Olivia Hayward and Saoirse Fitzpatrick for Prismatic on a return to the championship. It is an exciting 26 drivers, Cam. It is an exciting 16 races ahead. We have waited a long time for the British Formula 4 Esports Championship to return, and we are super excited for it. You know I've got to ask it. Who wins the first race?
Oh, the first race. I thought about to say the championship, because that is impossible. The first race, I mean, Remy Gilbert is looking good. And as you say, a strong race here in the reverse grid last time around. So I wouldn't back out of him. But Matt Caruana, we saw how fast he was last season as well. Insanely fast. I do think it's potentially going to be from that front row. As it goes for the championship, it is hard to say who is going to keep it clean. Like we saw with Mark Fletcher in the Formula Fords. Can you just avoid the carnage, keep yourself looking good? Because remember, we have the reverse grid once more here, and that is going to be very important for the championship points. If you obviously start down in the mid-pack, you get involved in the crash, then you'd lose a lot. So a lot is to be on the table. 20-minute race. Let's see how this goes.
Yes, indeed. First race then of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship will get underway. 20 minutes onto the clock, and it will, of course, be a dramatic affair all the way through the season. Already a stalker in the background, but it's a great start from our pole sitter of Remy Gilbert. Matt Caruana will hold on to 2nd position, with Leo Brown in 3rd place. The two Ferraris running in 4th and 6th position either side of Henry Moore, as we complete the first couple of corners of racing. To the outside, though, trying to make it a Guild Racing 1-2 was Leo Brown, trying to work his way around the outside. There's already a big crash in the background. You've got BS competition. I think that might be Jarl Tyen involved.
Yeah, it might be in the 89 of Riker. Loads of cars, though, and it was actually Prendergast. He was the one who sort of stalled it on the front row. On the first lap. Managed to get it going, though. He's a bit further down. Look at how close the cars are following each each other inside the top lot. We are getting a bit of a breakaway though due to that crash about the top 8, top 9 cars. And look at this, already wiggling down the front straight. Is that to say I'm not going to overtake just yet? Let's pull away.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was Riker as well who was involved in that incident. Really tight though through the top grouping. Matt Caruana, who's already a race winner alongside Remy Gilbert as well. Both of them first and second race winners in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship last year. Matt Caruana, of course, at Snetterton. Remy Gilbert around this very circuit in the second race of 2023. Currently leads the field. And I know Seb Hawkins is looking on right now thinking things are looking really good for Guild. First, third, and of course, 5th place. Let's take a look at the incident though. There was a spin for Beckham Jasir right in front of this, and a huge roll for Elias Riker. There was even more of an instant behind all that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few cars. 5 cars in the pit lane at the moment. Lafaro, Stachulek and Kulik as well, all involved. So crazy. Up towards the front though, Matt Caruana has taken the lead from Remy Gilbert in the meantime as the drivers try and pick up the pieces. Of course, wings missing and all sorts. So it's definitely not over up towards the front. We're also getting Graham Carroll trying to get himself up into 3rd.
Yeah, indeed. Got all these replays coming in for all that early incident. You can kind of see how everyone was involved in that absolute chaos and big scenes towards the back, but absolute chaos and big scenes towards the front as well, as we'll look at Henry Moore taking the defensive line from Gergo Bowdy. I've had to do that a little bit myself in the recent past. I'm also in touring cars, that's when open wheelers. Great to see Gergo Bowdy taking part in this 2-time WTCR Esports champion, if I remember correctly, going side by side with Joseph Loke, who's recently joined driven an Aston Martin Formula 1 car around Silverstone. I did message Joseph before this. He said hello to everyone as he sends one straight around the outside of Gergo Bowdy at the first corner at Paddock Hill. But Bowdy says absolutely not on my watch. Now with Will Chadwick's on the scene.
Yeah, this is crazy stuff. These cars, they're so fast for this little track, and the drivers are finding their way to battle each other. As we see in the Ferrari there, Graham Carroll, of course, just being dropped down a little bit as Moore gets up into that 4th place. Here is, of course, Will Chadwick for Freem coming up in towards these final couple of corners where you are going to see drivers send it down the inside when it comes to that important point of the race. Of course, we have 5 minutes longer than the Formula 4. We've got a 20-minute race for these drivers, but that doesn't mean they're going to be patient.
Because Henry Moore's also got past on Graham Carroll. There's a spinner in the background. That is Jarl Tyne this time, so a disaster start for BS competition. And again, Jarl Tyne has got plenty of experience when it comes to high-level esports competition, including, like I've said before, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, the highest level that you can do in oval racing on the platform. He has taken part in it. Will Chadwick gets past Joseph Lowe. What I was going to talk about, though, Leo Brown, Henry Moore, 3rd and 4th position. After Henry Moore has got past Graham Carroll on that Ferrari, a big gap has grown between the Guild racing cars. If you are wondering as well as a fan, kind of not understanding as to why we've got 3 Guild racing cars, we see what happened there. Dana Moore making contact with Jarl Tyne at the final corner. There are 3 Guild racing cars because one of them, being Henry Moore, is a privateer entry courtesy of a finish in the Formula 4 champ last year along with Dana Moore for the Apex Racing Academy. That's why they're sole entries or a 3rd entry for their given team. Oh, Spets is round!
Contact is made. Inside he went to Paddock Hill Bend, and just like what we saw the Formula 4's wheel-to-wheel contact, and the car goes around there, so he drops all the way down, and so much happening here. More spinners up towards the back of the pack as well, so this is really not the ideal situation. There's the 111 having some further issues, and we also saw I think it was Katala for G2. He got involved in one of the spins in the recent replays. He's down towards the back a bit off the pace as well, so a bit of carnage is coming the way in the first 5 minutes here to start the season.
Yeah, I'm sure Paul Crawford behind the scenes will be pulling his hair out the drama that we've seen already through the opening stages of this race. The opening race of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship, we have had a fair share of drama. What happened then to Alexander Spets was going side by side with Joseph Loke down into the first corner, sends it in, Loke turns in and really clobbers that curb. There must have been again front wheel to rear wheel contact. Joseph Loke, maybe you could say he gave enough room, maybe you could say he didn't, but there was definite contact there on the apex. You saw the slide coming in from Spets. I've got to say, whether you can say Loke's at fault or not, that is an aggressive move to the inside of Paddock Hill, and one that maybe it's a little early in the race for.
Yeah, it was all going well. Then he had that tiny bit of a wiggle on the rear end, and that was enough to push him a couple of millimeters wide, and contact then, of course, was made. So, bit of a shame for that, because that would have been a really nice battle. But what it's left us with is this top 6 really going at it, really top 8, I guess you could say, and they are all batting their way towards the front. Here's Graham Carroll, the 21, the top Ferrari driver thus far. Of course, was looking up towards P4, but Henry Moore has got that. He's now trying to work with his teammate to close down the top 2.
And we've seen Graham Carrot at the highest level of esports. Again, pushed Hardcore Esports Super Cup, seen him race in that. Obviously seen him race in things like Le Mans Virtual, seen him race in the in ESL. We've seen him race basically all over the world of sim racing. Great to see him here in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship, representing Ferrari as well, which is always great to have on the grid. Got Ferrari out there, got Aston Martin out there as well, obviously Williams. We've got a lot of big teams in the world, not of sim racing, in the world of motorsport out there as well. And it is excellent to see. There is Joseph Loke, who currently hangs on to 8th position, just behind Will Chadwick.
Absolutely. So Chadders is still in with a hunt because he was P8 at one point, so he got that position, and now the number 88 is trying to close him down. They are just staying so close together. And do you remember, Lewis, last season we spoke about this, how if you had a group of 6, generally the battles could be still okay. When it went above that, then that's when chaos happened, and we are a little bit far away, but we're getting close to that 8-car battle at the front.
Yeah, which then means that Chaos is going to win. So it's always been my rule, if you've ever joined us for the British Formula 4 Esports Championship, even back in 2022, when we had that inaugural season, myself, Connery Maddock, we both worked out that it was 6 cars. 6 cars is the magic number. More than 6, and it's absolute drama as Martel goes down the inside of Joel Hull, who they go out into the barrier. Joel with a big send there, and that's a shame for Joel, who's not super experienced in the world of sim racing. Again, a driver that I had a good chat with back in media day. That's a bit of a shame.
Absolutely, as Loke has got past Chadwick once again, so they are actually, maybe, I thought they were going to focus on catch up to the top 6, but actually they are battling themselves, and now they can push each other forward, hopefully to get up inside that. We're getting close to half race distance already, as the races will go past very quickly around here, and of course loads of laps as well. Up towards the front, we are seeing the 2 Ferraris still sitting behind the 3 Guild Esports drivers. They haven't found a way past just yet.
No, indeed not. There's a look at the incident between Joel Hull, who was going around the outside of Martel. Contact between the pair of them. What do you make of that one?
I mean, Martel came a bit wide, didn't he, in the 22 machine? Definitely, it was probably a bit easier to see from the helicopter shot again, but he definitely came wide. Not sure if that was on purpose, trying to push wide, or maybe if there was just a little bit of a mishap on the brakes, but either way, that coming wide is what caused the contact. Will Chadwick had an open door, decided not to go through it, so he is definitely trying to push Loke up towards that top 6, but they're not making the moves just yet. Talk about making moves though. Espes, 11th place in the car 11, also up 11 places in this race.
Yeah, indeed. Doing a very solid job is Espes at the moment, and not too far behind Dan and Moore. Both of our Formula 4 drivers finding themselves inside the top 10 after being promoted up to the British Formula 4 Esports Championship, which I make of that. Absolutely excellent to see Henry Moore up there, who said, I asked him, I was like, what are you expecting from today before we came into racing? He said, to be honest, I don't know. Feeling a little bit nervous, feeling a little bit of this, feeling a little bit of that. Clearly not showing it on the circuit. Excellent stuff at the moment from Henry Moore.
Yeah, great signing by Apex. By the way, of course, he did the Indy 6 hour the other week as well in a prototype, and really getting involved there up in the top split. So he's getting involved in these top level races, and we have just another one here. So hopefully over the course of the season, he can, of course, continue on with that improvement. As you go back to the G2 Esports car, the number 40 of Catala, who was involved in one of those incidents a little bit earlier, obviously trying to work his way up. He's 17 at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. As we continue another lap, we're nearly halfway through this race now. Matt Caruana continues to lead from Remy Gilbert, who started from pole position. Leo Brown doing a great job in 3rd position. Henry Moore in 4th. Graham Carroll in 5th. Gogo Bowdy in 6th. Joseph Loke, Will Chadwick, Ryan McAuliffe, and Dan Moore as we head our way round. It is exciting stuff. Like you say, we're on board with Johnny Kapler at the moment, just behind the prismatic entry of Sergio Fitzpatrick inside the top 16, the 16th place, on the first page of our leaderboard there on the left-hand side of your screen. I'm pretty sure there'll be an aggressive move coming in from the G2 driver.
Oh, definitely, as the points go down this far, so everything is up for position, and points being prizes at the end of the day, that gets you up the championship. And even in a series where we have 2 races per event, 16 races, every race is going to count. Half a door open there for the 40 machine, but not enough to dive down.
No, but again, sometimes half a door is all you need, especially around here. I mean, we saw that in the Formula Ford. Sometimes half a door was almost too much. What's a door in an open wheeler anyway? As we ride on board with Cattler once more. The reason why we're focused on this fight is we're expecting something to happen in this fight. At the moment, I believe the leaders are being patient and ticking off the laps. Cattler looks to the inside of Fitzpatrick, sends it in down into Druids, holds it tight to the white line, side by side of the corner, and Yanni Cattler with a drive down the hill has Sergio Fitzpatrick on the inside. He's got the advantage as they head to Graham Hill Bend, but throwing it around the outside, Yanni Cattler goes and up in the 16th spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Fitzpatrick deciding not to be down on the inside there. We did see that not causing, not turning out too well and causing a few issues in the Formula 4s. If you're on the inside, the rear and front contact always spun the inside car. So let's see as Danamore drops outside of the top 10 as Espes makes another place that's 12 positions improved already, showing that he has the pace and up inside the top 10.
Yeah, showing that there were clearly some issues in qualifying as we ride on board with Danamore. I have some bad news. If you joined us for the Formula Fords last year, there was a board that he had up in the background. I was asking him to put some messages. I don't know where it is. They've lost it.
No way. That was one of the best bits of the broadcast.
Get a new one. Get a new one. Bit of paper, I don't care. Get something and stick it up there. But no, we'll find out one day as we'll ride on board with Danamore in this fight for the final position inside the top 10. And this could be a big move as well to try and finish inside the top 10, not only for the points, of course, but also more positions, more points paying positions, by the way, this season. If you didn't join us last season, it was just the top 10. Now it is a lot more than that. But it's for the reverse grid. It increases your chances of being reversed.
Absolutely, and that is what you want, because at the end of the day, it's free positions, free starting places for next time. As up towards the front, we see Guild swap around. Remy Gilbert from the pole, now down into P3. Leo Brown, his teammate, up into second. Of course, they have Henry Moore covering them off from the Ferraris.
Yes, indeed. But how good is this at the moment? Is there you have a little look at the trophy as well in the background. This is on board with Henry Moore in 4th position at the moment, staring at the back of the two teammates. There's definitely a look to the inside, though, as Graham Carroll was trying to find a way through at Paddock Hill. That was not a missed apex out of mistake. There was definitely a car looking to the inside, and Graham Carroll and Gergo Bowder, the two flying Ferraris, at the moment running in 5th and 6th, sat on the rear end, ready to pounce at a moment's notice.
And this is where the experience from Carroll potentially may help Moore making a couple of mistakes there. Went a bit wide at Graham Hill Bend, and this has let him be sort of an extra car length behind his teammate. Is that going to be enough for Carroll to have a look up towards turn number 1? Don't think so this time around, but you can just see he is falling away a little bit from his teammates.
Leo Brown so close to going for attack for the race lead, but isn't fancying it there. A little bit too wide from Graham Carroll at the first corner. Just running it a little bit deep at Paddock Hill. Brings it back onto the racing line, though. We were a little bit concerned without the likes of Apex this season, deciding not to enter the 2024 season of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. But maybe, losing that top level competition. I don't mind it right now. We've got some quality racing happening here at Brands Hatch. A little bit wide there for Graham Carroll. At the moment, it is Matt Caruana against a trio of Guild esports drivers at the moment. 6 minutes left to go. The Guild racing drivers are being patient right now.
Oh yes, they are biding their time, and what they have in their advantage is the numbers as well. They have the cars sitting there. Obviously, it's got to be the car ahead to make the position. The cars behind can't help so much, but they still have teammates. So Brown in that second place, he knows he's not going to get a silly dive from his teammates behind, so he can just focus on the cars ahead. But it is literally a freight train of all these top 6 drivers. They are almost nose to tail, pulling each other along, and they just have to be picture perfect to be getting the opportunity to get the victory today. But that was a good run from Brown.
Yep, it certainly is. But again, is he going to go for it? The thing is, he can be patient right now because you've got your two teammates behind. I get the feeling if Remy Gilbert wasn't Remy Gilbert, if Henry Moore wasn't Henry Moore, if there was a little bit more in there, I think there'd be a little bit more going on. Someone just dropped down the order. I think it might have been Joseph Lowe dropping down and then moving back up the order. So I wouldn't be too worried about it, but I just saw the timing sheet go a little bit skew-if is the way I'll describe it, but I think it was just a little bit of a connection problem for Joseph Loke, who finds himself back in 7th position. Only a second off this train, mind, as we have 6 in this train. It is the magic number right now.
And it certainly is, because they are battling nicely, and as much as they are not going side by side every race, every corner, they are pushing each other to the limit of what pace that they can do. And with how close they are, their eyesight is being blocked every corner. It's hard to hit your braking zone. Of course, you've got the slipstream putting you close as you get to the corner, making that even harder. It's not an easy position to be in, as we see Henry Moore just going a bit tight there, maybe just to cover off the threat from the Ferraris, but Carroll isn't doing any crazy moves just yet.
I think Henry Moore's just being a rear gunner right now. If you're thinking it's calm, that is because it is. It is actually relatively calm right now. This is the nail-biting nature that we're going to have all season in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. You know there is an attack coming. You know that they are timing it. They are waiting for the right time to go on the attack. 4 minutes left to go. There is going to be something here. Let's look at how close Leo Brown. See, he's driving behind. If he wants to go for a move, he'll look to the inside. He is waiting, biding his time. He's got his tears behind. As soon as the Ferraris stop waiting as well, as soon as they start going on the attack, as it is now, this is going to start turning up to 11. Graham Carroll making a move and making contact with Henry Moore as well as we come down the hill of the Graham Hill bend. The inside line from Henry Moore. Graham Carroll goes out wide, exceeds track limits in doing so, but the Ferrari could be through now into 4th.
Yeah, that was a little bit naughty from Carroll there on the exit of Druids. Henry Moore managed to gather it up, and to be fair, I would have done the same, sent it down the inside of Graham Hill bend, and they haven't caused a crash, which is good. The top 3 breakaway now by a few car lengths. Carroll needs to work hard to try and get that gap back. Henry Moore needs to do something to help his teammates. Up the inside, though, potentially for the lead, Leo Brown.
Yeah, Leo Brown's made it stick then, so knowing that Graham Carroll's coming, they thought, let's go on the attack now. Matt Caruana straight to the inside, tries to instantly find his way back, almost has the overlap as they work their way into Druid. Now the fighting begins. They've been joined as well by Joseph Loke and Will Chadwick in this train for the race lead, as Leo Brown and Remy Gilbert make it a Gilder Esports 1-2. Matt Caruana then in 3rd position. Graham Carroll will be knocking at the door. Henry Moore down in the 5th position. Gerger Bowley, Joseph Loke, Will Chadwick. At the moment, those that will do battle for the race lead as the look comes down from Graham Carroll.
That was an insane move by the Guild's drivers. And Caruana was not actually braking late, I don't think, to try and hold the lead. It was to try and brake late enough so Gilbert couldn't go round the outside. He went as late as he could, but Gilbert managed to make that work. So great stuff from Guild to get through both drivers. Now Graham Carroll is coming. A dive up the inside maybe. He did it before on Moore, but not this time.
Yeah, Matt Caruana, who has shown some hot-headedness, let's be real, in the past, although has atoned for it, has taken a penalty for it, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to go into it too much. We'll discuss that when we're not in the middle of racing, but has history in this championship. I think he's a lot calmer driver than he was. He's a lot more patient, knows what he's doing, and I think really needs to channel that now. We'll come through the final corner, and with the time left to go in the race, there's less than 2 minutes, but because of how short the lap is, we will have 3 laps of racing. It's going to be super tight. It might only be... No, it'll be 3. No, I can do math. Don't worry about it. It'll be comfortably 3 laps of racing. Leo Brown then leads in a Guild 1-2. Gilbert behind. Matt Caruana staring at the back. There's more moves coming here, ladies and gents.
Oh, there certainly is. This is not the finishing position, and we have increased our number in the train as well, more than the 6, which is basically just a recipe for chaos. Let's see what Caruana wants to do, though, because he's a little bit boxed in at the moment, because, of course, he got pushed down to 3rd, not just 2nd. Makes it a little bit more awkward for him, and now we have the teammates who might be able to position their cars nicely to defend from each other to at least try and guarantee a win from one of them. A minute remains in the first race of the season, and Gilder looking good.
Yeah, Caruana's going to force it here. He's definitely going to try something. Just about where, when, how, and why, as he goes a little bit wide there at the first corner, dips 2 wheels into the ground. That's going to slow them down just a touch. Remy Gilbert with the inside defensive line. Leo Brown continues to lead. Guild could be looking at a 2nd victory in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. Leo Brown for a 1st. Remy Gilbert, though, would like to make it a 2nd victory for himself. He's the only driver that's taken a victory in those colours, and that was at this round last season in race number 2 of the championship. He looks to the inside of his teammate. Will the teammates do battle, though? Seb Hawkins will probably say, let's not, shall we? Team manager, of course, of Guild, as they start the final lap of the race. Cam, where's it coming?
Let's see, Caruana needs to try and send it. And what order did Gilbert want to finish the race? Do they want Gilbert to go to the front and him have the win, or are they going to give it to Leo Brown? Let's see if they can construct something on this final lap. A bit wide though from Brown, so big defensive line from Gilbert to the inside to try and defend. We know Caruana likes to send down the inside, but that was blocked off very nicely indeed. And just one real good overtaking opportunity as he come through Graham Hill for the last time.
Dana Moore also has worked his way up inside the top 10. Final few corners left to go. And it's really hard to make a move at the final turn in these cars. They carry so much speed through the likes of Surtees into clearways. Through the final corner. What a dream start to the championship it is. The British Formula 4 Esports Championship is officially back, and Guild are going to make it a 1-2. Leo Brown will take a first victory of the season. Remy Gilbert behind, with Matt Caruana on the podium yet again in his British Formula 4 Esports campaign. As they all cross the line behind, it'll be Graham Carroll, Henry Moore, Gogo Bowdy, Joseph Loke and Will Chadwick separated by less than 2 seconds across the line. What a fantastic battle. Ryan McAuliffe and Dana Moore will round out the top 10. But Leo Brown, Remy Gilbert take a bow. What a start for the team.
Yeah, that is amazing control up towards the front. Henry Moore, of course, you got to give a shout out to him, helping his teammates in that battle as well. But what a move it was also in the end. The teammates did an amazing job to work it so they could both get through at the same time. Caruana from first down to third. He should still be happy with that though. Really, pulling his weight at the front there for his team Mensa. So great stuff there to start the season.
Yeah, and of course, the 3 Guild drivers are all inside the top 5, so it shows really well for Guild right now. Do remember it go again though, as I said before, for the team's championship, Henry Moore, despite running a Guild livery and being a Guild driver, that's because it's the team he's a part of, because of the way that he's entered this championship as essentially as a privateer, not adding points as far as I'm aware to the Guild points. So they're not going to pull out some random unrealistic lead. It's only their 2 primary drivers, being Leo Brown and Remy Gilbert, that will be taking the points. Spinny wheels back out. Let's see what grid result we are going to get reversed here. It is going to be 9. Ryan McAuliffe then will get reversed onto the very first reverse grid pole, meaning Dana Moore misses out by just a single position. Oof, not a good start then for him on that one. Let's take a look though at the provisional results from the first race of the championship. Leo Brown takes the fastest lap and the victory by 0.3 of a second for Guild Racing 1-2. Remy Gilbert behind in second place. Matt Caruana back onto the podium for the Mensa team as he will finish in third position. Graham Carroll, welcome to British Formula 4 Esports, fourth position for him, and Henry Moore promoted up from Formula Fords into this championship with a 5th place finish. Gogo Bowdy, Joseph Loke in 7th with Will Chadwick, Ryan McAuliffe and Dan and Moore rounding out the top 10 positions. But of course, there's plenty behind. Isaac Price will finish in 11th before we get to Pablo Espes, Conor Muir, Alexander Spetz. I think that's a really disappointing start for the Williams Esports team. They will not be happy about how things have unfolded there. Kieran Prendergast in 15th position with Yoni Kattler, who we saw a few moves from. Quitiago Motau, who was involved in a little bit of an incident earlier on with Sergio Fitzpatrick, Olivia Hayward and Joel Hull rounding out the top 20 positions. Shaman Kulik will finish in 21st. And what about BS competition? Jarl Tyne, retirement from the race. Elias Riker, retirement on the first lap of the race, along with Becca Jasir, Giuseppe Lafaro, and Piotr Stachulec as well. What a dramatic way to start the season. Absolute scenes here as we got things underway for the first round of the season. I think it's time we talk to our race winner, Leo Brown. Let's drag him in here. Things sorted. First race of the season, and it's a victory. How did you make that one? Guild starting out in unbelievable form.
Yeah, it's a very good start to the season, especially for me and Remy. And hopefully we can build on that in race 2 later on.
What are you expecting from the reverse grid? Because obviously how things were in that race, it was a very tight fight, but it almost seemed relatively calm. Are you expecting that? Calm is a relative term, by the way. Are you expecting that in race 2, or is it going to be just chaos?
I don't think anything's calm in motorsport, is it? So I think it depends purely on what numbers drawn out for the reverse grid. But we'll wait and see for that and take it lap by lap and see how we go on.
Well, I will give you the news now. The number is 9, so it could be worse, could also be a lot better. Nine's okay. How do you feel about hearing that? Is that kind of where you were expecting? Do you think you can rise your way through the order from 9th?
Yeah, for sure. I think we proved we had the pace then, especially in the race pace. So I'll pick my way up one by one, hopefully. And of course, it's the first race of the season, so hopefully nothing stupid happens. But yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it race by race throughout the season.
Well, Leo, best of luck for the race later on. Maybe we'll be bringing you back into the interview booth after race 2.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll be joined by Leo's teammate, of course, Remy Gilbert, who we did catch up with a few times last season, including once around here with an excellent victory in race number 2. You nearly did it in the first race of the championship. Remy, talk us through that one. Guild looked really, really strong. Obviously, you had Leo in there. You had your teammate, Henry Moore, as well, pretty close. It looked good for Guild.
Yeah, it really was. First of all, I'd like to dedicate this round to my granddad. He unfortunately passed away on Friday, and he was like one of the first people that introduced me to motorsport. So, but yeah, the race was really good. Had a really good qualifying lap. Felt really hooked up, and then in the race, it's having Henry and Leo to work with really benefit us, and yeah, gave us the 1-2. So yeah, really good.
Now, you were in Guild last season as well. Obviously had a couple of podiums, including that race victory around here. What's it been like kind of growing in that team, staying at the team, seeing it grow, and now having the results to back it up almost immediately to start the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, really. The progress and everything we're all so similar on pace. It just gives you that boost to work with someone. Whereas like last year I was sort of on my own, which made it a lot harder. But yeah, given how that race went, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the year.
Reverse grid, I've already passed it on to Leo. Reverse grid is 9th, so you'll be starting, of course, from 8th place. You were on the reverse grid last year. You were kind of on the better side of things on a couple of occasions last season, as you know, we had for those first couple of reverse grids. This time you're getting sent, down into the depths of the midfield. How do you feel about that?
Well, you've got to just try and pick everyone off one by one, sort of just take my time with it. I mean, we've had a good result, so I don't want to really mess anything up now. So just see how the race goes, take it easy, and sort of just try and take a move one by one, and yeah, see where we end up.
Well, Remy, best of luck. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And a 1-2 then for Guild. An excellent result for them. An excellent result for Matt Caruana as well. Rejoining the British Formula 4 Esports Championship exactly as we thought you might. Battling for the podium, battling for the race victory. You've already won a race before, obviously, back at Snetterton, but that's got to be a very positive way for you to start the season. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, no, I'm happy with that race. I mean, it was always going to be difficult. There's not really much I can do in that situation when I've got obviously the 2 Guild drivers and then the 2 Ferrari drivers as well behind me. So I was just happy to survive the race. We all worked together pretty well during the race, so yeah, I'm happy with it.
We know you're a pretty solid driver at working your way through the order. We saw that on quite a few occasions last season. Saw some great moves from you. I think it was 6 consecutive top 5 finishes as well. So you know how to work your way through an order. What are you kind of channeling in this race? Is it just keep your nose clean for the first few laps, or how are you going on the attack in this one?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens at the start, but if I can get a good start, maybe get a couple places there, then that'll be helpful. And then for the rest of the race, just follow everyone, try not to have an incident. Obviously, I feel like that's going to be the main thing this season, just not getting tangled up in things. So yeah, I'll see how it goes.
Across the line, 8 drivers, 1.8 seconds. That is the difference between scoring well and scoring all right. Are you expecting that to be the same all the way through the season? And more importantly, are you expecting that to be the same in the next race?
Definitely the same in the next race. Probably a bit more fighting next race, to be honest, because obviously the reverse grid, so be a little bit more fighting. But I think some tracks will be a little less cramped than this. Obviously, it's a small track with like 6 corners, so the pace is pretty similar for everyone. But yeah, I think it will be a little bit different race to race. But
well, Matt, good luck for the next one, and stay out of trouble.
Thank you.
There we go. I think that's got to be the talking point for all of the drivers here, Cam. I mean, again, great to hear from the top 3. Great result for Guild. I literally cannot hammer that home enough, especially after how they were last season, where they were fine. There were flashes of really good speed. Clearly, the work that Seb Hawkins has been doing behind the scenes has really built this team up, and how they're taking on drivers like Henry Moore. It's a really positive position for the team to be in.
Oh, absolutely. And they should be ecstatic with this. It's such a high-level competition. So many great teams and drivers here. So to get a 1-2 and to have, Henry Moore, representing the team up there as well, 3 in the top 5, they've obviously prepared very well for this. And we were saying how close the times are. So to then have 3 drivers being that fast, they have to be that little bit ahead of everyone else. So that is working out really well. Of course, P9 is not terrible because we do have, I think, a potential to be a bit more than that in terms of the reverse grid number. So they should be able to recover from that, hopefully get in some top 5s. It just depends, as Matt was saying there, how much do they want to battle more in race 2 than race 1?
Yeah, this season it could be 5 reversed, could be 15 reversed. So, that's a fair share of drama. Does mean that Dannemore, obviously with it being in 9th place, is always kind of one of those ones where it's like the reverse grid number. When it is 9, it's 1 better than how you finished. That can feel a little bit, hard done by. Obviously, Dannemore finished in 10th, which is a great result, by the way, on debut in this championship. And the lone Apex driver as well, driving for the Apex Racing Academy, now representing that brand, as you were saying in the previous race. But 1 position shy of the reverse grid, you've got to feel pretty hard done by in that.
Oh, absolutely, because that is kind of 3 points lost, but that is the format. Everyone knows that coming into it. So obviously, let's see how that one goes. But as you say, a great start to the season. And I think Dannemore is going to be very good. Of course, doesn't necessarily have some teammates as such, like Henry Moore does out on the track. But I'm sure they know this car pretty well from what we know about Apex.
Well, before we jump into the next race, let's have a little bit of a breather and hear what some of our drivers like Matt Caruana said before the season.
My name is Matt Caruana. I'm racing for Mensa Racing with Driven by Us. Yeah, definitely. It would definitely help. I think me and Ryan got to grips with the setups towards the end of the season last year, but I think the fixed setups this year will help just get the practice in and not worry about it too much. So yeah, during it, I think because with the whole Apex thing where they had sort of 2 teams with the 4 drivers, I think when I was fighting them in that race specifically, and then I had a bit of netcode and it spun me around, that sort of just, like, I lost my head a little bit, to be honest, and then had another sort of similar incident at turn 1, and I just completely lost my head, and it was probably the most stupid decision I've made. But afterwards, I feel like I've learned from it. I feel like I've looked back on it and realised that you can't be doing that. So yeah, this year I think my mentality's changed a lot. Now that I've got the win last season, I think I want to push for the title if possible. Obviously work with my teammate Kieran, and hopefully we can go for the teams as well. We've got Guild obviously on the grid. Henry Moore obviously won the Formula Ford last year, so I think he'll be quick this year. And all the big teams, Ferrari, Aston Martin, all of that, I think they'll be big competitors for him. Yeah, it's a big opportunity. I got into it through time trial on iRacing, so done the time trial and then we went to Williams for the assessment day. And yeah, it was good. It's a big opportunity to represent the UK and go to Valencia, so yeah, I'm excited for it.
What are you expecting from it? Gold?
Yeah, that's the aim. That is the aim. It's F4, so it's British F4, obviously good practice and all at the same time, so yeah, it should be good.
Great to hear from Matt Caruana there, and as you heard, we'll be representing the UK in the FIA Motorsport Games at Valencia in a few weeks time, a couple of months time, which would be a great opportunity for him. And how good would it be to go into that event in Formula 4s, in these cars as well, coming off of an excellent season in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. You want to go into it on the right foot, right, Cam?
Oh, absolutely. And he's looking very good. Just needs to work his way back through the field now in this reverse grid race, and hopefully, obviously, doing it cleanly as well. We saw in race 1 how tight it is. These cars are so fast for this track. It really is difficult. But you can make it move. You can make a strong move, like we saw Graham Carroll on Henry Moore. Absolutely centered down the inside of Druids, kept it clean initially. They had to do a little bit of a squeeze to hold on to it, but it's certainly going to be a good race.
Well, let's see the starting order then for the second race of the season. Ryan McAuliffe will start alongside Will Chadwick, who's a part of that 8-car train that finished in London under 2 seconds apart. Joseph Loke will start from 3rd position with Gergo Baldi in 4th. Henry Moore will start from 5th, where he finished the previous race, and Graham Carroll will start from 6th place. Matt Caruana on the podium in the previous one, behind the 2 Guild Racing drivers. He'll be starting ahead of them in this one. Remy Gilbert and Leo Brown starting from 9th. Dana Moore missing out on the reverse grid race will have to settle for 10th, as it is start ahead of Isaac Price and Pablo Espes, who made a great effort of working his way through the order. Conor Muir for the Aston Martin Aramco Esports team will start from 13th position. Alexander Spets will start from 14th. A lot to do. Kieran Prendergast from 15th with Yoni Kathler, and then Thiago Martin and Sergio Fitzpatrick back there as well. Take to the grid though, because it's time to rush straight through. Very quick grid, very quick order, very quick race about to get underway. 20 minutes onto the clock, and it'll be Ryan McAuliffe starting this one from pole position as we race our way down into the first corner. Excellent start from McAuliffe from the front row. Already under attack as Joseph Loke has to settle for 3rd. Already trying to find a way past, but at the moment it's single file between the top grouping. Cam, no major dramas. Is there going to be anything into Druids? The answer to that question is no, but there is a big move from one of the Guild Racing drivers in the background. That's Henry Moore trying to fend his way past, or rather fend off Graham Carroll.
Yeah, well, let's look at this though through Graham Hill Bend. Side by side they go like they were, but this time the other way round, and actually around the outside. We're trying to see Matt Caruana. Can he keep that one? Keep his foot in there, up inside the final corner. He's trying it. He has the space to do so, but look at that round the outside. But already Spets has gone around.
Spets, the highest I-rated driver on the grid, very comfortably, not having a good start to the season. Very first pole position in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. It is not going well for the Williams Esports driver, unfortunately, at the moment. Side by side in the background, though, I think that will be Matt Caruana trying to get past Graham Carroll. Can't quite do it, though, as there's a big defensive line coming in from Joseph Loke up to the top of the hill at Druids as we begin our little descent down towards Graham Hill Bend. Absolute, the audacity of some of these sends going down at Druids is crazy, but at the moment for the top lot, it's nice and clean.
Absolutely. Slightly around the outside there from Caruana on Leo Brown, and that has actually slowed Brown down. Dana Moore in the 41 machine getting up into that 9th place, up inside the top 10. Of course, missed out on that reverse, but actually getting some places nicely. Matteo has gone around. There's the 20 machine as well of Kulik, who's gone around at the final corner.
Yeah, indeed. At the moment, though, it is still Ryan McAuliffe leading, who did score the most points last season, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean he scored the bad points, the penalty points. He had the highest amount of penalty points of any driver back in 2023. Currently leads the race, so solid effort from him at the moment. Back, though, to Conor Muir, going side by side with Thiago Martin, who's down the inside for the Williams Esports Academy. He joined the fight by Joe Hull, who's trying to work his way through very, very tight as they go into the final complex. Definitely a little bit of contact there as Muir will go straight on. There was also a spin directly ahead. What's happened to Ryan McAuliffe as well? It's all kicked off here on lap 3.
Absolutely, yes. So the Aston Martin drive there pushed off. Contact was made further up as well as we're coming in towards Paddy Kilben for the first time. Down the inside, we're going to see Gergo Baldi go. Oh, huge contact! The Aston Martin's involved as well. They keep on going, but up into the air.
Oh, I don't know how, to be fair, I don't know how Joseph Loke's still in this race. I think there must be damage on that car. Weird bit of contact there on the exit of Paddock Hill. Henry Moore then up into 2nd position. He's marching forward. Lovely to see. I know his family will be watching close. His mum followed me on Instagram, by the way, earlier. Just my big claim to fame. As there is the big bit of contact with the sent Alexander Spets and Kulik out into the barrier of the final corner earlier on in the race. What happened to McAuliffe? So I think there must have been a little bit of contact as well with Will Chadwick behind. You need to see that from on board of Chadwick, though. Because if not, it looked like it might have been a bit of a spin from McAuliffe himself.
Yeah, I would assume there was definitely a bit of contact, and that's actually what slowed up the Aston Martin there as well. So very, very difficult scenes. Here is, of course, the 20 of Martu getting that bit of contact goes around. Actually, should rejoin, but then there's cars off in the background as well. What is going on this first couple of laps? People John Farrow there, who's actually doing a good thing slowing down, then got punted behind as well. Absolute chaos.
There is chaos. Olivia Hayward down the inside and then going for a bit of a spin as well. Just a little bit too committed at the final corner at Clearway. Sticks it in reverse, thankfully, rather than in first gear. So at least there is that. As we'll see, a big look to the inside. Remy Gilbert already working his way past. Down the inside of Gergo Baldi at the moment. Matt Caruana sat on the rear end. Not been the level of progress from Leo Brown as what we saw in the previous race, but probably is biding his time a little bit more. Meanwhile, for the race lead, by the way, big look to the inside as Henry Moore was trying to get past Will Chadwick.
And that's going to open the door for Graham Carroll now to dive down the inside. We saw these two in this corner not too long ago. A bit cleaner this time. Carroll in the Ferrari up into that second place. So Henry Moore going for the lead actually loses a place. Just shows you how absolutely intense this battle is. Goga Baldy got Matt Caruana down into Graham Hill as well.
Yeah, Dan and Moore, I was just about to talk about me right on board with them Moore, who's going side by side and in a deep battle here with Joseph Loke. Now sent it down the inside of Matt Caruana at the final corner. Caruana was out wide, should have the advantage coming off the corner though on the Apex Racing Academy driver, as Matt Caruana was just about trying to hang on into the slipstream. Gogo Baldy is going to go, but Dan and Moore has made a decent amount of progress by the way this race. Start this one from 10th, now runs in 7th position, make that 6th with this move down at the final corner, on board with the race winner of the previous one, as Leo Brown is around the outside of Joseph Loke. Bit of contact between the pair of them, bit more contact between the pair of them, and I think Joseph Loke might have gone round.
Oh, he certainly has. He's dropped down. It was very little contact, but it must have been enough when the car was at full pitch that he was just not able to keep the rear end of that car. But getting very close as well as he joins in behind Stanchulek as well. So they worked their way through. 15 minutes ago, 5 minutes gone. We got a 4-car breakaway at the front. Chadwick is leading, but of course all the drivers in behind will be chasing them down.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chadwick's definitely got a penalty looming over his head after that incident earlier on, as this is a little bit of a look. Just a weird bit of contact, and I think also because it delayed him a little bit, got contact from the rear as well, which assisted Loke round. So not a good start to his campaign. I think he might do the 1 or 2 rounds. He is the reserve driver for the Aston Martin Aramco team. We'll see how many times we'll see Joseph Loke out in action this season. It's always good to see, though, Joseph Loke behind the wheel. He did take part a couple of rounds in the first season of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. Of course, that was when he was in the British Formula 4 Championship itself, before he ended up winning that, moving on to GB3, and now moving on, of course, to Formula 3 action as we ride on board with the driver running in 7th position. It's Matt Caruana behind Dana Moore.
And just look at what you can see up ahead. Oh, 3 wide is that in towards turn number 1. We're going to see Graham Carroll up to the lead, and he gets through. Chadwick down to 2nd place, and he's going to have to defend here in towards Druids. As up the inside is Henry Moore trying to follow Carroll through up into that 2nd place. Very tight as you come back down the hill.
Yeah, there is going to be side by side between the pair of them into Graham Hill, but it will be the position held at the moment from Will Chadwick. Great move to the inside from Graham Carroll to sneak through into the race lead. Got a message from Henry Moore after that race, just said not bad. I think even he was pretty happy by his lofty standards to the start of his campaign, with obviously that solid result in the previous race with the top 5, looking for a little bit more and potentially a victory on the cards. We spoke to him 15 times last season. 15 podiums in the Formula Fords. None so far here, but it's a much larger strength of field.
Yeah, this is a very good season as opening up to be already. Just after the first couple of races in the sunshine at Brands Hatch, it is looking very nice indeed. Graham Carroll, though, has got, I mean, not necessarily a breakaway, 3/10, but that is a lot around here, to be fair. And actually, I wonder if Chadwick is going to be, just looking in his mirrors and opening the doors to the 2 Guild drivers who are coming in very fast in behind, and they are slowly but surely getting caught by the 2nd 4.
Right now, who's the favourite for victory? Really, who is the favourite right now? Because you've got Graham Carroll, who's leading, absolutely rapid driver. You've got Will Chadwick, you've got Henry Moore in his debut, you've got Romy Gilbert, who won this exact race 12 months ago.
It's hard to say, because it also depends how the battling goes. We've seen you can easily go from 1st to 3rd very quickly, and vice versa, depending on where you try and make your overtake and how it slows down. We do have basically an 8-car train at the front of this field. Crazy scenes. Leo Brown is on the back of that, your winner from the previous race, and to be honest, he could still get a podium if he works his way nicely.
I think this is the important bit to really hammer home here. We have done 8 of the 12 minutes of this race, right? Let's talk about that for a second. Leo Brown is just trying to stay in this race right now, and we saw this time and time again last season. Just because you haven't made all the progress that all your rivals have made right at the early stage of the race doesn't mean anything. I think it was Gordy Much at Silverstone who didn't make the progress as rapidly as the others and still came through to win that race, the 2nd race at Silverstone. Timing is everything, and that includes how and when you're moving your way through the order. Just because you're there now doesn't mean you're going to be there at the end.
Oh, absolutely. You have to play the race and the racecraft into your advantage. It's hard to do so because everyone is trying ultimately to win and improve their positions. That's a decent exit there from the 77, trying to get the extra couple of thousandths of a second that he can. But of course, in behind Will Chadwick, who himself is getting back in the slipstream of Gray and Carroll. Not enough to make a move this time around, though, as we work away through Paddock Hill Bends. And Carroll's looking very strong at the front here. He seems to be under control and working it nicely. This would be a good result from the Ferrari driver, considering obviously the winner from the last race, Leo Brown, down in 8th place.
Yeah, I will say a few retirements from this one. Of course, Alexander Spetz out of the race, Ryan McAuliffe out of the race, Beckham Jasir out of the race. This driver's teammate out of the race as well, Joel Hull, unfortunately on his debut. I was having a little chat with them before the season started, to his mum as well, who was talking about the commitment that they've made to the world of sim racing and where he's studying in college, all this kind of stuff. A lot of these drivers, they're working hard behind the scenes to make things work in the world of sim racing, and sometimes the season doesn't start out of the way you want. Chin up and move forward. We've seen that, of course, with Alexander Spetz being one of those major drivers out. Dan Moore down the inside of two-time WTCR Esports champion Gogo Baldi, now trying to make the move to the inside, and Dan Moore will squeeze his way through. Bit of contact there. Gogo Baldi goes wide. Leo Brown will come through, dragging through Caruana as well.
That is absolutely insane how close those drivers were. 3 positions lost there for Baldi. And I have to say, Daniel, he's got no fear at all. That was an insane move to pull that one off. And of course, Caruana and Brown just sliding their way through. Bit of a shame there for Baldi as he's quite a way back from his teammate now. This has allowed the top 4 to get away a little bit further more. But are we going to see this? A little bit of a wiggle there, actually. Are we going to see this battle continuing, though? Or maybe that's just Caruana saying not to battle?
I think that was Caruana. I think you're absolutely right with the second statement there. I think Caruana saying, look, if we battle now, we lose the group. We lose everyone ahead. Leo Brown says, I don't care about that. I'm coming through, son, as he looks to the inside at Caruana. Caruana's trying to play the wise game here and not fight because they know this group is fast enough to catch that group ahead just because of courtesy of the slipstream and not battling. And if they can do so, suddenly they're all back in the fight, and we would have 9 cars in the fight for the race lead. That said, Caruana did just have a look in the background. As you can see, there's definitely been contact between Caruana and Amor, and through comes Leo Brown then to move his way up the order into 6th place. Inside line at Paddock Hill as we ride on board with Gogo Baldi, and the Guild Racing driver will come through. Matt Caruana has to settle for 1 behind, and Gogo Baldi might chuck his way into the mix.
Yeah, who says you can't overtake and battle around Brands Indy? The racing tonight has been absolutely insane, and you have to make an aggressive move, and that is certainly what we are seeing from some of these drivers. And Moore is looking very strong at the front of this pack, though. He's looking good to hold on to that 5th place. It's all about the positions in behind and where they are going to place their car for the battles at the end of this race. Of course, we're now getting towards the final 8 minutes of this race. The laps will go by very quickly indeed, and this is the look back from Baldi as he tries to, from Carroll as he tries to obviously hold on to the lead.
Yeah, indeed, it's Will Chadwick keeping very close, a little bit too wide there for the Scuderia Ferrari driver as he just drives it in a little bit deep at the first turn, a little bit deep at Druids as well, but he's able to keep Will Chadwick at bay for now. We do like Chadwick, he's a quality driver in his own right, especially here in the world of iRacing, but now has to fend off the 2 Guild drivers of Henry Moore and Remy Gilbert, who were starting out the season in incredible fashion. Remy, honestly, do not count out Remy Gilbert coming through to take this victory. Absolutely, like, don't think about it. I mean, we heard before he's representing, Guild. Also, his granddaddy passed away recently. He said about in the interview, so there's even more weight on his shoulder than normal, and there'll be that further desperation and that further importance to start the season strongly.
Yeah, he's in a great position, though, actually, on the back of the top 4 with a bit of a gap behind. So he can kind of sit there a little bit and wait for a position to open up. He's got his teammate there ahead of it as well, which is always a good thing to have. But look at the intensity of this race. You can't make one mistake. If you do any little, mishap in the braking zone, a bit of a wiggle on the exit, someone is coming through. And I tell you what, Chadwick is not out of a shout with this as well. I thought at one point he was looking like going backwards, but he's really involved with this race victory.
Just behind all of that, Danamore's lost a position. Leo Brown's worked his way through inside the top 5. There is a bit of a look there from Will Chadwick, I believe, in the foreground, but there's no switch for the lead, so don't worry about that too much. We won't miss a thing at the moment. There goes the moment to the inside, though. Matt Caruana will try and get past Danamore with a big send into Druids. Is he overcommitted, though? Just about enough space given from Danamore, the runner-up in the Formula Fords back in 2023. He's going to hang on at the moment in 6th position. The lone driver for the Apex Racing squad generally across the board. He's representing Apex Racing Academy here is Danamore. As Pablo Espes, the driver who made it the most position in the previous race, makes up another on Gogo Bowdy potentially.
Oh my God, that was around the outside. Don't always see that, but what it has done is slowed down the Ferrari driver a little bit. Is it going to be enough, though, to make a move in towards Paddock Hill Bend? Maybe not quite. This is going to be a huge send around the outside if he wants to try and make this stick, and the Williams driver is doing so. Can he hold on to his position? It's given on the outside up towards Druids. They continue to be side by side, as they have done for a good couple of corners now. It looks like the Ferrari driver might just get ahead. Squeeze, contact is made, and Baldy gathers it up.
Yeah, I mean, Espes was pretty unhappy about that there, but I think there was just nowhere to go. Now he's got the speed. Big wide moment there, and a big moment as he clipped the curb on the inside for Gogo Bowdy, and Pablo Espes will work his way through. Yoni Kattler for G2 Esports is also in tow now as they battle towards the back end of the top 10, but importantly, look at the gap between Pablo Espes and Matt Caruana. It has grown massively as we ride on board with the Hungarian.
He certainly has looked down the inside to get this position back. They lost just half a lap ago. Moves up ahead, Caruana and Amor as well. But side by side, we continue down and then back up the hill towards Druids. Who is going to come out on top? Is it Williams? Is it Ferrari? It looks like it'll be Baldy. There's contact here last time around, and there's a little bit of a hip check there as we see the Ferrari driver get through.
Yeah, indeed. Again, fantastic battling. But Cattler, wow, that is wide. There's not been a rallycross circuit here for a long time. I know they do some crazy bits around Brands Hatch. That was a little bit wider than I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not the racing line, is it? He's definitely losing time by going off the track there, as we are seeing a defensive line from Carroll trying to hold off from Chadwick at the front. 4.5 minutes remain in this race. We're still seeing the two Guild drivers trying to work themselves in a position. Are they going to be open up, though, by the fact that Chadwick is the one battling Carroll?
Yeah, Joseph Loke also has moved up to 12th position in the background. He's got some great pace behind the wheel of the Aston Martin Esports car at the moment as we ride on board with Henry Moore. You can imagine what the heart rate is of these drivers. It'll be through the roof as we head into the final 4 minutes, and the final few laps of this race should be 5, maybe 6, but I'm not going to do some swift maths. It's 43 seconds a lap, so it should be close to 6 actually, as we have 4 minutes left to go at the line. We cross it, we head down towards Paddock Hill once more, and it still is Graham Carroll leading from Chadwick, leading from the duo representing Guild.
What a start to the season we're having here. High intensity racing. And remember, we come back to this very track, of course, with the full GP layout to finish the season in 10 weeks time. So crazy stuff we're going to see over the next few months. And let's see how it works out. It is looking good for Guild at this moment in time. But of course, they have 3 inside the top 5 once more. But it's kind of in the reverse order of what it was as Moore goes up the inside into the final corner. And he might have this stuck. If he can keep it, it looks like it's good. He might get the slipstream as well.
Yeah, but Graham Carroll's going to be wise here. He's going to give the slipstream to the driver that's going to make them side by side because he wants them to all lose time. So he gives a little bit of slipstream to Will Chadwick to make sure that Chadwick can hang on to 2nd position. I don't think he either wants Guild directly behind him, knowing that the difficulty of dealing with them in the previous race. Doesn't matter which Guild driver it is, he just doesn't want them there right now. Will Chadwick for the 3M UK team sat there in 3rd position. Riker and Cattler then going to switch positions here at the back end of the top 10. So Elias Riker trying to get some decent points onto the board for the BS competition team. Out wide through Graham Hill they go. Gogo Bowdy's going to be desperate to defend from Pablo Espes.
Yeah, the race has kind of gone south for Bowdy, especially looking at him being always side by side with his teammate at the start of the race, and now he's quite a way off. But let's see from Riker's point of view. He's the 4th car in the pack. Can he find his way up? Just 2 minutes remain. Huge defensive line to the left-hand side there for Bowdy. Is that going to be enough for Espes to make a move? No, it's not just yet, but these guys are really pushing as the laps are counting down.
Love the BS livery though on this. Not only is it asymmetrical, which is obviously a big win, but also you can tell which one's which, because one of them's got a big Finnish flag on the side, the other one's got a big Norwegian flag on the side. Obviously Finnish for Riker, Norwegian for Yaltayan, as out wide again they go at Graham Hill. That's just their line. I mean, they do run pretty wide at Graham Hill in real life. They're probably taking the mick a little bit at the moment as we head back up to the race lead.
Yeah, certainly you can get away a little bit more at this track, but certainly not to corners like Cascades at Alton Park that we'll get to later on this season. And the intensity is still remaining at the front here. Huge defensive line to the inside there for Graham Carroll. He's trying to hold on to this. It hasn't opened up the door as much as I was expecting for the likes of Henry Moore to then make a move on Chadwick, who gets sort of held up a little bit by Carroll making the defensive line. But we'll see if that one changes when the mindset also changes in the final couple of races, a couple of laps of the race, and then maybe you have sort of a half a door and you actually send it that time around when the opportunity comes your way. Carroll comes to the line with a minute to go, couple of laps remaining, and Chadwick is still looming.
2 laps left to go. 4-car fight for the race victory. We had 8 separated by 2 seconds in the previous race. This one we've got 4 separated by half a second. We begin the penultimate lap. It's Graham Carroll leading from Chadwick, from Moore, from Gilbert. Chadwick's out wide a little. Sorry, Graham Carroll's out wide a little bit here though as your race leader, and Chadwick's going to be closing in but can't go for a move. It is a struggle to find your pathway through around this circuit sometimes, and I think that is really what Will Chadwick is dealing with here. Cannot get the better at the moment of Graham Carroll. Will he do it into turn 1 this time by though?
I think he's going to need to do something earlier on in the lap, be it Paddock Hill Bend or Druids. I think if it goes after that, it's going to be so risky as the track tightens up quite a lot. We start the final lap of the race. It is Ferrari at the front with Graham Carroll. Can he remain there for one final time, or is Chadwick going to find a way through? He doesn't get Carroll offline though, in towards Paddock Hill Bend. That's going to make Druids tough, or is there a send behind from Henry Moore?
Yeah, well, we might see. Henry Moore's going to go for it a little bit. Remy Gilbert's going to properly send it in, though. There's some front wing damage at the moment on Henry Moore's car, who could be losing a podium here. Remy Gilbert to the inside, and Remy Gilbert will come through into 3rd place. The up and under between Gilbert and Moore will see the two of them potentially switch into the final corner. No team orders here as the Guild Esports drivers go side by side in the final couple of corners. Graham Carroll at the front of the field. It is Ferrari on top. We've lost focus of Graham Carroll, who has not lost focus of the race. Perfect drive from him as he takes victory from 6th place on the grid to take top honours here ahead of Chadwick. A drag race between the 2 Guild Racing drivers behind. It will be Remy Gilbert ahead of Henry Moore and Leo Brown. All 3 of the Guild drivers once again inside the top 5.
Absolutely insane race there. Of course, there's a bit of carnage for the first couple laps, then it settled down and we got some amazing battles. Carroll worked his way to the front so nicely there, and they are actually racing even up towards the line a little bit further down. Who is going to get to the line? It looks like it is going to be Hayward to just about hold on to that position, or certainly being chased down there by Lafaro, and up towards the front. Oh my word, what a battle we saw. So much action. Here's going to be a replay of what we saw on the final lap. Gilbert getting his teammate, or trying to at least.
Well, I mean, he did end up getting through, of course. There was a look to the inside from Henry Moore. Didn't really think about it. Remy Gilbert sent one straight around the outside. Then there was side-by-side coming down the hill. You got the front wing damage there. I think that's just slowed Henry Moore down enough. Backs out of it. Goes for the up and under, does Henry Moore. Young driver trying to get past his teammate. Nearly made this one sick. Gets the inside as they head up towards 30. The inside line on the right-hand side for the final corner at Clearways is always going to prevail. There'll be a drag race between the pair of them. I think Henry Moore was just out there to enjoy that. 5th and a 4th, that's probably better, a lot better than he was expecting to start out the 2024 campaign of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. Although I will say, Graham Carroll with a first place finish there. Very solid result. I think we'll have the joint championship lead, by the way, with Leo Brown. We'll talk about that in a little bit anyway. Will Chadwick with 2nd place, Remy Gilbert there with 3rd, Henry Moore and Leo Brown rounding out the top 5 positions, with Matt Caruana and Dana Moore. Solid start to his season as well. Gogo Baldi probably a little bit disappointed to finish that far behind his teammate, but a lot of drama in that race. He finished just ahead of Pablo Espes and Yoni Kattler to round out the top 10. Fastest that was Dana Moore. There you go. Elias Riker in 11th position, with Joseph Loke after being spun out, dropped back down to 12th position. Isaac Price, Quitiago Martau, Kieran Prendergast, and then Shimon Kulik, with, of course, Yaltai, Conor Moore, and Saoirse Fitzpatrick, Olivia Hayward, both inside the top 20. So solid positions, solid start of the season rather for Prismatic. Unfortunately, not to the same can be said about the Aztec Racing Bug Grid Finder team. Giuseppe Lafaro, 31 seconds off the race lead, 21st position, and a retirement for his teammate Ryan McAuliffe, who started from reverse grid pole. Sidlacek will start from, will finish rather 22nd position with Beckham Jasir, Williams Esports, 24th, 26th, retirements for their main drivers. Joel Holt also joining the retirement list. Cam, what do you make of that?
I mean, I'm really happy with actually to the start of the season in general. Of course, there's a few incidents that we'd like to cut out, and I think obviously Williams getting involved in those. It's so difficult when you have a track like this and the high intensity racing we have in this series, just with the style of the car, with the drivers that we have. They're going for everything, and we do see a few incidents creep in. So hopefully they can, swap that around and get some better results. But they are quite a few points behind already after one race.
Well, let's talk to our race winner. I think it's time to have a little word from Graham Carroll. Solid drive, superb stuff. Victor across the line. And that looked pretty tough out there, but you were able to fend off Will Chadwick. You were able to fend off Guild Racing in this one. Looked like a tough afternoon for you, but what a drive.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm absolutely dripping in sweat here. It's maybe only 4 or 5 corners, but it's intense and a lot of laps. And yeah, obviously with the reverse there, I think I started P6, so just sort of be patient, wait for a few shunts in front, and it all panned out. So yeah, really happy with it.
Now, obviously jumping into the British Formula 4 Esports Championship for the first time, representing Ferrari as well. I mean, this is a great combo. It's clearly working out quite well. Great way to start the season. I'm assuming this was always like the game plan. Like you always came into the season expecting to fight for victories, expecting to fight for the championship.
When you represent Ferrari, you need to, right? So it's and also I think British and being from the UK, like I love these circuits, to be honest. I grew up racing them as a sort of teenager. So now I also said that this championship kind of starts next week at Zandvoort. Like this first round, it's very, anyone can kind of be pole and anyone can kind of, if you know what to do, you can defend really well around here. So it was kind of just come in, get some championship points, and me and Gergo done that the first couple of races there. So it's a team championships as well as a drivers, and we want to win both. So it's a solid start to the season.
So are you expecting a big change when we go to Zandvoort? Because of course it is fixed setup, so everyone's got the same playing field on that side. Are you expecting a big change up in the order, or is it just going to be relatively small things? Maybe you more consistently like grabbing that pole position. Maybe what were we expecting?
Hopefully, yeah. I gave my quali run today. I kind of had a wee moment, so I feel like pole was really there. But at like Zandvoort, there's a lot more to it. Some of these bigger circuits, it's going to be. I think the gaps might be a little bit different, but I think the top guys will always still show out your Will, Henry, Remy, your Leo guys, all the guys at the top, Gergo. So it's going to be a close season. And honestly, I really like the idea of the sort of top 15 or so reverse. It kind of mixes it up, and it's not just follow the leader all the time like most of sim racing is at the minute. So that's really enjoyable, and can't wait to get to Zandvoort.
Excellent start of the season. Couple of great results for you. We'll see you in a week's time. Superb drive, Graham. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
There we go. Graham Carroll, race winner here in race number 2. We'll talk to the driver. It's fine, don't worry about it. I'm still here. We'll talk to the driver who won race 2 last season, finished in third place rather. This year, it will of course be Remy Gilbert across the line there, just behind in third place. Of course, in that battle with Will Chadwick, you just got past your teammate on the final lap of the race. No team orders in your squad, is there?
Yeah, we were sort of free to battle it out. I mean, we worked really well together pretty much the whole race. So, we were allowed to just have a little fight on the last lap. Yeah, it was really clean, really respectful between both of us. And yeah, just managed to just pip him on the line and get P3.
Results from the first race, great for the team. Obviously, first and second, right the way up there. Obviously, you had Henry Moore up there as well. Great result in this race. Third and fifth for you and Leo. Henry's also up there. Guild is looking like, in a sense, the team to beat. Do you feel that at the moment?
I mean, compared to last year, it's pretty unreal. We struggled a little bit last year towards the end of the season, but to come back like this is pretty amazing. I knew that we all had good pace, but to have a first and second, and then I think like a third and fourth, yeah, pretty unreal.
Well, what are we expecting from you going into the next round of the championship? Obviously, Zandvoort, something very different for us in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. We didn't race there last year. What were you expecting?
A lot of close racing. I think it's going to be a lot more overtaking opportunities than round here. I mean, you can sort of just sit on the white line, and it's really hard to overtake around Brands Indy. But you've got a few long straights, and especially like the bank corners, you're going to probably see a few different lines, more battles on track.
We had 2 interviews last season. We've already had 2 interviews this season. I suspect we'll be talking to you a little bit more in 2024 than in 2023. Cheers, Remy.
I hope so. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
There we go. Very good. We're there grabbing a podium again. Finally, though, he has found the interview room. The last person will be joined by, it's Will Chadwick. Finally, you're here. I was disappointed when I saw you in person, obviously, at the media day. I'm less disappointed now. Great drive for a podium. We'll talk about the incident a little bit later on. Let's focus on the positives and the final battle there. Didn't look like you were going for an attack there on Graham Carroll. Were you just focused on the points?
We had a nice battle on media day. So after that, I spoke to him, and we were saying that it was good to work together in the series. And I think when you're coming up against Guild, who have like 3 cars in this, even though one doesn't score points, it's important to pick your friends right. And it's a very, very long championship, and I know that currently I'm not really at my best because I've got to focus on the Contender Series. So it's important to secure points early on rather than going for one rash move that can win me a race, sure, but this championship will be run by finishing in consistent positions, not by winning the odd race here and there.
Now let's talk about rash moves. No, it's not. It wasn't really a rash move. About the instant lap 3, you, Ryan McAuliffe. What happened in that? It looked as though maybe you braking a little bit late, him braking a little bit too early, coming into contact with the final corner.
I think that when you're driving in one of these series, when you're having massive drafting trains, it's really important to drive predictably. And when the car ahead of you brakes 100 meters too early for the corner, and I'm up behind him, then there's not much I can do in that situation. So I hope the stewards see it from a sensible perspective. And I'm sorry for the incident that happened. I'm never one to want to cause something, but yeah, it is just what it is. And I'm glad that I didn't get any damage from it because it was a bit on the edge, I guess you could say, from that side of things. I thought I might get some front wing damage.
Obviously, with this being the first round of the season, we don't have that kind of level of tension that we're expecting 7 rounds down the line when we go into the penultimate round, when we go into the final round. Are you expecting that to really ramp up through the season, as we saw for the previous couple? But in those, it was obviously Apex, basically faces Apex. This feels like it's going to be a very different style of season.
I think that, you've got to stay really consistent. You've got to get the results every race. I lacked half a tenth over a lap. I think that my qualifying preparation was good. I just didn't really hit the lap. I got my lap 1 and didn't manage to get my lap 4 because I went straight off into the gravel like a moron. I think that when you're looking at it, you've just got to get the points every race, be consistently inside the top 10, scoring reasonable points, making sure you're inside the reverse grid. If you're in the first race like I did, just making sure that I was in a reasonable position and keep scoring points. My commitment to this series will hopefully increase a bit after Alton Park. And hopefully then we can start to go for some race wins. But as things currently stand, I'm happy to collect the points and just think about the wider picture rather than a single race scenario.
A fully committed Chadders. Wow, you got me quaking in my boots. No, I'm really excited for it. Thanks, Will. Great drive.
Thank you.
Poor guy, he's got to deal with a lot with us, Cam, hasn't he? Great drive, though, from Chadwick to grab a podium. Great drive from our top 3 over race 1 and race 2. Great drive from the field. A bit of excitement, a little bit of carnage in there as we expect at Brands Indy. But I think Graham Carroll is the one who's the most right there. I think the season really begins next week when we go racing at Zandvoort.
Absolutely, completely different type of track, and everyone knows that Brands Indy is a difficult one. So now we start 7 events, 14 races still left to go. As Will Chadwick said, a long way, but those weeks will go quickly. Back-to-back weeks, just a couple of off weeks between races 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So definitely a difficult one there. So let's see how it goes. Of course, fixed setup, so the practice should be a little bit easier in that regard, but overall it's going to be a tough championship, and the one who is able to keep their nose clean is probably going to be the champion.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Scoring points consistently. It doesn't have to be victories consistently, but getting in that top 5 consistently, that is the important bit. Leo Brown and Graham Carroll have both done that so far this season. But it's a long, long journey before we get to Brands GP. Just a couple of months of racing. What a fantastic evening of racing it has been here to open up the season at Brands Indy. We will see you all in a week's time at Circuit Zandvoort, as for the first time in British Formula 4 esports, we go international. We'll see you then.